Under a crescent moon, the dark swamp forest sits below a high mountain where a massive dragon silhouette looms. The eerie forest floor is damp, scattered with decaying wood and floating, glowing spores. On a large tree, a small, glowing yellow clump clings to the bark. Suddenly, the yellow clump opens two large, bulbous eyes and looks around, confused about where it is. He remembers his past life as a human, scrolling his phone in bed. He was reading a manga called Legend of Mushrooms, wondering why it wasn't popular before he fell asleep and died. Back in the forest, he realizes he has been reincarnated. His yellow, spiky body trembles as the shock hits him. He quickly calms down, accepting it as a common story theme, and decides to check his surroundings to survive. He calls out into the misty forest, asking if anyone is there, but regrets the noise when he notices menacing red eyes glowing from the shadows above. He sees giant mosquitoes over the swamp water and notes the area's miasma and uncomfortable dampness. Despite the gross environment, he confusingly feels physically comfortable and cozy. He wonders what exactly he has turned into, feeling like a strange lump of matter. Suddenly, a holographic system window flashes open in front of him. The screen displays his status. Level 1, Slime Mold, with the achievement Weak Creature and trait Decomposer. A red alert warns his health is critical at 7:30, and autophagy has started, telling him to eat or hibernate immediately. The slime mold panics as his health ticks down, realizing he will die again if he doesn't eat soon. He frantically looks around for food to stop his health from dropping. His status screen highlights his Decomposer trait and repeats the warning to eat or hibernate. Realizing he's a decomposer, he figures he can eat the wood he's on and decides to try. He spreads his yellow body against the surface, and it naturally wraps around the wood. To his surprise, it tastes like a soggy biscuit. For 15 minutes, his body expands like a web across the bark, making gulping sounds as he eats. Finally full, he burps. A system alert says he is now level 2 with health restored to 35, but he cannot gain more XP from dead wood for an hour. He also receives a skill point and must choose between upgrading Decompose or Pulsation. Unsure what Pulsation does, but willing to experiment, he assigns the point to it. The skill upgrades to level 3, and his yellow veins immediately begin to throb. He realizes Pulsation lets him move his internal protoplasm. He marvels that the knowledge of how to move appeared in his mind, even without a brain. Since the wood offers no more benefits, he decides to climb down and explore. He stretches his gooey body down the log, enjoying the magical feeling of shape-shifting at will. As he dangles, he spots a large purple mushroom growing on the ground. While a human might die eating it, his slime instincts tell him the mushroom is a delicacy. He slides across the ground, focusing on the shortest path to the meal. Despite their slowness, slime molds are efficient pathfinders, even better at optimizing routes than human engineers. Slime mold silently approaches a large purple mushroom, its stalk covered in strange red spots. Using his new movement skills, he slowly wraps his yellow tendrils around the stem and creeps upward. He reaches the mushroom's cap and spreads his body over it, ready to feast. As he eats the mushroom, he hallucinates being in a cafe. He sees himself approaching a pink-haired woman. His online date he calls Pure Little Mushroom. The woman, whose back is turned, asks if he is the man she was waiting for. In this fantasy, the protagonist appears as a slime-headed man in a suit, confidently confirming his identity. The fantasy becomes a nightmare when the woman turns. She's a terrifying monster with multiple eyes and a drooling mouth, beckoning him closer. He screams, terrified at being deceived by a toxic woman. Back in reality, a system red alert warns of a toxin invasion. The poison is rapidly consuming his nutrients. He panics, realizing the mushroom is poisonous as he watches his health points drop continuously. Thinking quickly, he tears off the part of his body attached to the mushroom to stop the toxin's spread. It works. The system confirms the toxin is eliminated, but he lost body mass and his max health permanently dropped to 17. Relieved but frustrated, he looks at the damaged mushroom. He decides to leave it for now. He slinks away, telling himself, General Slime is just retreating to fight again later. Desperate to recover his lost health, he finds a safe stump and starts eating the wood. After 15 minutes of feeding, the system says he gained no XP due to the time limit, but his health is fully restored. He burps, feeling satisfied and safe. Fully recovered and energetic, he sits atop the dead wood. He begins his new strategy to slowly whittle down the enemy. The tactic is to eat a bit of the poisonous mushroom, retreat to the wood to heal before the toxin kills him, and repeat the cycle. He approaches the mushroom again, calling this war of attrition Project Move Mountain. With renewed determination, he wraps his body around the mushroom's stalk, confident that with enough time, he can consume the entire thing. As he repeats the process, he hallucinates again. This time, the toxic woman representing the mushroom looks exhausted. He slaps handcuffs onto her wrists. Appearing as a man in a suit, he taunts her. He notes it is their 8th encounter and asks if she will give up. Back in reality, the mushroom is now a shriveled stump as he finishes eating the last of it. A system window confirms his success, awarding him experience points. He also acquires a new skill, Poison Resistance Level 1. He realizes this new resistance let him tolerate the poison longer during his attempts. However, he is disappointed he did not level up, as he expected significant experience from conquering the mushroom. Shaking off the disappointment, he sees many other strange mushrooms waiting. He decides to just keep eating his way through the forest. The protagonist continues his feast by eating a straw pipe mushroom. The successful decomposition raises him to level 3, and he notes the mushroom is safe. Wanting more power, he eats a dangerous monk's cap mushroom. The spicy, toxic meal raises him to level 4 and upgrades his poison resistance to level 2. Unsatisfied with single targets, he covers a massive cluster of white mushrooms, declaring they will all become his nutrients. After eating the mass, he reaches level 5 and his health maxes out at 79. The system warns him he's hit a saturation point and won't get more experience from mushrooms for 24 hours. Full and satisfied, he burps and packs the remaining mushrooms on his back to take with him. He travels the forest with colorful poisonous mushrooms on his slimy body, humming about them being both emergency rations and armor. He compares his strategy to a crab using sea anemones for protection, believing his genius disguise will scare off any monsters that might eat him. Suddenly the wind picks up. A swarm of giant hornets buzzes overhead, carrying large chunks of red meat. The protagonist hides in the tall grass, hoping his poisonous camouflage works and the terrifying insects won't notice him. As one hornet flies low with its prize, a massive tongue shoots from the shadows, snatching the insect from the air. A giant green frog sits on a log, chewing the hornet. The protagonist freezes in fear, realizing another deadly predator has entered the area. However, the frog's attack provokes the swarm. The giant hornets drop their food and dive down to attack the frog. From his hiding spot in the grass, the protagonist watches the chaos. The frog is quickly overwhelmed by the insect's sheer numbers. One hornet drives its stinger into the frog's backside, while another latches onto its head with its mandibles for a vicious bite. The protagonist watches the battle from the grass, analyzing that a single hornet is weaker than the frog, but the swarm's overwhelming numbers bridge the power gap. His fear turns to opportunism as he hides, wondering if he can scavenge the remains. He reasons monster corpses would give far more experience than the wood and mushrooms he has been eating. The hornets swarm over the giant green frog, stinging and biting it relentlessly. In a desperate move for survival, the frog's throat glows purple. It unleashes a skill called Empowered Tongue, skewering multiple hornets in midair with great speed. However, the counterattack isn't enough. More hornets latch onto the frog's jaw, sinking their mandibles in as it croaks in agony. The protagonist continues to peek from the grass, witnessing nature's brutality. Suddenly, a massive shadow falls over the frog on the log. The frog looks up in confusion, barely making a sound, before a predator strikes with blinding speed, splattering blood violently through the air. A colossal bird with reddish feathers and a snake for a tail is revealed, having easily snatched the frog with its talons and tail. The terrifying creature lowers its head, its glowing red eye locking onto the trembling protagonist, seeing through his mushroom disguise. Demoralized by the deadly monsters, the protagonist gives up, sarcastically inviting the bird to eat him while complaining this game is unbalanced. The protagonist's reflection is visible in the bird's massive pupil, highlighting how tiny he is compared to this apex predator. The bird tilts its head, losing interest in the small, unappetizing blob, and pushes off the ground with great force to take flight. The wind from the bird's takeoff is so powerful it blasts the protagonist away. He tumbles through the air, taking 30 damage as his mushroom camouflage is scattered. The forest slowly returns to silence as the leaves settle, the massive threat now gone. Under the crescent moon, the vast mountain and forest landscape seems peaceful, yet dauntingly large. The protagonist lands on a log with his few remaining mushrooms, shivering from the near-death experience. He analyzes his place in this cruel hierarchy, imagining a food chain with the giant bird at the top. Below are beasts, animals, and insects. He realizes he's at the very bottom, below even plants, on the same level as dirt. However, he realizes this low status is what saved him. The power gap between him and the monster was so wide that he wasn't even considered food, sparing his life. He opens his status window. He is a level 5 slime mold with 79 health, 13 unspent skill points, and improved skills. Decomposition, level 6, Pulsation, level 3, and Poison Resistance, level 2. Despite his rapid growth, he feels disheartened. After leveling up 4 times in one night, his title is still Weak Creature, and nothing has fundamentally changed. He questions his future, wondering how a simple slime mold can survive in such a dangerous environment. Overcome with exhaustion, he sighs, wishing this was all a dream and he could wake up safe in his bed. The night eventually passes, and the morning sun pierces through the forest canopy. Suddenly, a viscous green liquid drips down from the red mushroom cap above, landing directly on the unsuspecting slime. The substance acts like a strong acid, sizzling against the protagonist's yellow body and causing damage markers to pop up continuously as he cries out in pain. Desperate to escape the burning sensation, he triggers a new skill called Burst, which instantly stimulates his internal cytoplasm to generate a powerful thrust. The force of the skill launches him violently away from the log, scattering his collection of mushrooms everywhere as he crashes into the ground. He quickly recovers and looks back to identify his attacker, spotting a large white snail with a red shell slowly moving across the wood. The snail ignores the commotion and spits out a stream of acid liquor onto a nearby mushroom. The acid works instantly, dissolving the fungus into a green soupy sludge. The snail happily slurps up the liquefied meal, while the protagonist watches in disgust, calling it a stinking snail. The snail finishes eating and looks up, its eye stalks twitching as it notices the angry slime mold. The protagonist is furious, thinking that while stealing food is annoying, dripping acidic saliva on his face and nearly disfiguring him is completely unforgivable. However, the snail simply stares back with innocent wide eyes and makes a pitiful sound, acting harmless. The protagonist tries to maintain his anger, telling the creature not to play the victim or try to manipulate him with cuteness. The snail slumps down next to a mushroom, looking incredibly dejected and continuing to whimper sadly. Seeing the creature looking so pathetic, the protagonist's anger begins to fade. He reflects that they are both just fellow sufferers at the bottom of the food chain, wandering the world and trying to get a bite to eat. He wonders if he is being too harsh on the animal. Letting out a sigh, he decides to drop the issue. He tells the snail that he won't make things hard for it and that it can go ahead and eat, as there are plenty of mushrooms to share. The snail immediately perks up, cheering happily at the permission. As the acid snail happily slurps up the liquefied mushroom, the protagonist watches and begins to let his imagination run wild. He wonders if this situation is a classic friendship born from a fight trope found in shonen manga. He starts fantasizing about a future where they party up, combining their strengths to increase their survival probability. His delusion escalates to imagining them evolving into powerful humanoid warriors together, and eventually standing side by side to defeat a great demon king through the power of their bond. Convinced that companions are indispensable for survival, he decides to act. He approaches the white snail and proposes an alliance. Since they are both low-level monsters, he suggests they team up and look out for one another, promising to ensure the snail has plenty of mushrooms to eat. The snail responds with a cute sound, but instead of shaking hands, it suddenly vomits a massive stream of yellow acidic bile directly onto the protagonist. The attack catches the slime mold completely off guard. He takes 12 points of damage, dropping his health to 62. Writhe in pain, he harshly realizes that his fantasy was foolish. Monsters in this world do not care about feelings or friendship. There is only the simple, brutal relationship of eating or being eaten. Admitting he was fooled by the snail's pitiful appearance and realizing it is stronger than him, the protagonist decides to flee while the creature is momentarily busy eating the vomit. However, the acid snail looks up, noticing its prey is trying to leave. It immediately turns and begins to chase him, refusing to let the slime go. Desperate to survive, the protagonist spends his remaining skill points to upgrade his pulsation skill from level 3 to level 4. Yelling that he is using full power, he surges forward with newfound speed. The two slow creatures engage in a high-speed chase across the log. To the protagonist's frustration, he realizes that even with his upgrade, the stinking snail is matching his speed perfectly. The acid snail prepares its next attack, its body convulsing as it builds up pressure. Suddenly, it spits out a massive glob of corrosive fluid, activating its skill, Acid Liquor. The attack strikes the protagonist with devastating precision, burning through his yellow body and dealing a massive 27 points of damage, physically splitting him into two separate puddles. Stunned and divided, the protagonist momentarily wonders if his consciousness automatically stays in the larger half of his separated body, but quickly dismisses the philosophical thought as the situation is far too critical for such distractions. The snail looms over him, letting out a terrifying screech as it opens a mouth filled with razor-sharp teeth, looking like a completely different monster than the cute creature it pretended to be. Without hesitation, the snail slams its face into the puddle of slime and begins to devour the protagonist. As he is being eaten, the protagonist decides to endure the pain, telling himself that he must survive this moment to take revenge later. The snail swallows a mouthful of the yellow slime and pauses for a moment. However, its eyes immediately glow with a menacing red light, indicating it is not finished, and intends to consume the rest of him. In a desperate move, the protagonist secretly wraps a tentacle around the stem of a purple poisonous mushroom lying nearby. As the snail lunges forward with its mouth wide open to take another bite, the protagonist activates his burst skill. Using the sudden propulsion, he shoves the poisonous mushroom directly into the snail's gaping maw. The snail bites down on the toxic fungus. The effect is instantaneous. Purple veins bulge across the snail's white skin as the poison floods its system. It writhes in agony, foaming at the mouth as the toxin destroys it from the inside. Finally, the massive snail collapses, dead. The system notifies the protagonist that the target has been defeated, awarding him enough experience points to advance from level 5 to level 6. Catching his breath, the protagonist explains his winning strategy. He had noticed that the snail always used acid to melt the mushrooms before eating them. He deduced this was because the snail had no poison resistance and couldn't eat them raw. By forcing the raw, poisonous mushroom down its throat, he exploited its fatal weakness. The slime mold laughs next to the acid snail's corpse, celebrating his first monster kill in this new world. Curious about the rewards for decomposing a monster, he slides his yellow body onto the snail's white flesh. However, he quickly recoils, finding the snail meat sticky and disgusting. He tells himself to treat it like beef or French cuisine and activates his dissolution skill to begin. But the moment he tastes it, he is horrified. He internally screams that it's awful, with a salty, sour flavor and a texture like thick snot. The experience is so awful, he stops. A system window announces that decomposition has failed and no experience points were gained. He looks at the corpse, conflicted. He considers throwing it away but feels it would waste a victory he risked his life for. He reminds himself that he must get stronger quickly and cannot afford to be a picky eater. He decides to endure it, figuratively holding his nose, though he notes he has none, and forces himself to swallow the foul meal. The forest fills with his sounds of retching as he struggles to keep the disgusting food down, looking like a glitching mess of slime. He forces himself to continue, eating the snail meat along with some nearby mushrooms. When he finally finishes, the system announces the decomposition is complete. He gains enough experience to level up from 6 to 7, and his body recovers. Despite the system's claim, he feels terrible. He lies in a melted puddle by the empty red shell, feeling worse than before he ate. He checks his status screen. He has 1.4 skill points, and his skills are Decomposition level 6, Pulsation level 3, Poison resistance level 3, and Burst level 1. He analyzes what his skills mean in practice, equating decomposition to simply eating. He cynically translates his other skills. Pulsation is running away. Poison resistance is getting beaten up, and Burst is also running away. The slime mold accepts his reality, telling himself complaining is useless for his species. He imagines powerful forest predators like the giant hornet as muscular giants. He reasons that with his low stats, he couldn't provoke them even if he had attack skills. Focusing on survival, he decides to upgrade his pulsation skill again. The skill advances to level 4, and he eagerly tests how much faster he has become. He pushes his slime body as fast as possible, measuring his movement across the wood. He finds his new top speed is 20 centimeters per second. However, when he calculates this is only 0.78 kilometers per hour, he despairs, realizing he is still incredibly slow despite his efforts. A week later, the protagonist is lounging inside a hollow log, holding a red mushroom. He reflects that while the log was safe, he has exhausted the local food and only gained 2 levels. It is time to find a new base. Before leaving, he decides on one last large scavenge to fill his stomach and inventory. He activates Search. By flattening his body into a vein-like network, he can explore multiple directions at once. His search range grows with his health points. His yellow body spreads across the forest floor like a living map. The system notifies him that he has stored 3 white mushrooms inside his body. He expands his reach, snagging 6 small grass mushrooms. He explains that with his body control, he can either store items or decompose them instantly, increasing his efficiency as he consumes a cluster of blue mushrooms. The slime mold continues foraging by consuming a large blue mushroom. The system confirms the decomposition, granting him experience and upgrading poison resistance to level 4. While expanding his search network, his yellow tendrils hit a hard red object. The system immediately alerts him the target cannot be decomposed. Before he can react, he takes 9 points of damage from a sharp pain. He retracts his body, annoyed to find he has encountered that guy again. The attacker uses a skill called Acid Liquor, spraying a green corrosive liquid. The slime mold is grazed by the attack, taking 7 more damage, but is relieved that his upgraded speed helped him dodge most of it. The enemy is another acid snail. The protagonist notices this one is much faster and wonders if strength varies within the same species. He moves evasively, confident the snail cannot hit him again. However, the snail uses a devastating close-range attack, splattering the slime mold and dealing a massive 33 points of damage. The snail pauses, thinking it has won. But the protagonist uses this moment. He intentionally took the hit to get close and shoves a poisonous purple mushroom into the snail's mouth. He mocks the creature, thinking it's easy to defeat once its weakness is known, citing the gap in intelligence between them. The plan works instantly. The acid snail convulses as poison spreads through its body. The protagonist consumes the defeated foe, again enduring the disgusting taste. The system rewards him for the kill, leveling him from 9 to 10. He sits in a melted pile, feeling terrible from the meal but admitting the massive experience from monsters makes it worthwhile. After a bit, the slime mold leaves the acid snail's red shell behind and continues his journey across the grassy forest. As he moves, he hears a rustling sound from the dense grass ahead. Assuming it's another weak snail, he arrogantly calls out, commanding the hidden creature to reveal itself. To his shock, the creature that bursts from the grass is not a snail but a massive, terrifying, blade-legged centipede. The slime mold freezes as the towering insect casts a menacing shadow over him. The centipede twitches its sharp blue legs, creating a rhythmic, intimidating sound. Terrified, the protagonist hides behind a rock, trembling and realizing he has made a mistake. The centipede lunges down to strike. In a panic, the protagonist tries his previous winning strategy. He holds up a poisonous mushroom, yelling for the monster to stay back. However, the strategy fails. The centipede's sharp mandibles instantly slice the mushroom in half before it can be eaten. The protagonist stares in disbelief as the sliced mushroom falls, realizing his trick is useless against this enemy. The monster follows up with a skill called Myriapod Blade Strangle, wrapping its long body around the slime and squeezing. The centipede buries its head into the yellow slime, trying to bite and tear the protagonist apart. However, the situation turns. The centipede struggles, unable to inflict damage. The protagonist realizes his liquid body is immune to blade attacks and constriction. The predator becomes the prey as the slime mold engulfs the trapped insect. He happily accepts the delivered experience points and consumes it. Emboldened by this victory, the protagonist continues hunting, spotting a large green beetle on a rock. He then tries to strike a flying hornet but laments that he is still too short to reach it. He then spots a cockroach but, with pure disgust, decides to let it go simply because he doesn't want to eat it. Sometime later, the protagonist travels through the forest in high spirits, humming with a red mushroom in his mouth. He opens his status window, revealing great growth. He is now a level 13 slime mold with 157 health points. His skills have also improved. Pulsation is level 8, and poison resistance is level 5. He leans back on some moss, happy with how fast he's leveling since eating meat, and feeling confident in his abilities again. The slime mold visualizes his place in the food chain, above insects but still below lizards, frogs, and the terror bird. He decides it's time to aim higher and hunt giant frog legs. Confident, he imagines growing unstoppable, picturing himself on a pile of insect corpses and dreaming of ruling this other world. He arrives at the edge of a murky pond in the swamp forest. He observes the water, wondering if valuable resources are hidden below and if he can dive in to explore. Deciding to learn by doing, he dips a yellow tendril into the water. The reaction is immediate and painful. His body swells like a balloon and he panics, feeling like he is about to explode. Through osmotic pressure, he learns that as a single-celled organism, fresh water rushes into his cells. He realizes he will burst and die if submerged, just like a red blood cell. He quickly retracts his limb, relieved but forced to abandon his underwater plan. Suddenly, bubbles rise from the pond. A large, dark green crustacean slowly emerges from the water. Confused, the protagonist identifies the creature as a crab. The creature stares blankly, bubbling foam from its mouth. His confusion turns to hunger as he imagines a plate of steamed crab. After so many disgusting bugs, he excitedly thinks this is finally normal food. He tries to trick the creature, calling from the shore in a friendly voice to make friends. However, the crab ignores him and climbs onto a steep rock in the water. It sits there, blowing bubbles from its mouth. He realizes the crab won't come to him. He decides risking his life in the water isn't worth it. Instead, he plans to dissolve poisonous mushrooms and pour the toxin into the water to kill the crab remotely. The giant swamp crab uses bubble barrage, firing a high-pressure water beam from its mouth. The stream hits the slime mold with tremendous force, knocking him back. The attack deals 25 health points. The protagonist is shocked that a simple water gun can hurt him so badly. The crab fires again. The slime mold tries to dodge but takes another 10 damage as he scrambles away. He slides behind a large tree root, blocking the incoming water blasts. Breathing hard, he realizes this opponent is far stronger than the insects he's been farming. He decides running now would make him a target, so he hides and waits, hoping the crab will lose patience. Suddenly, a loud splash is heard as the crab jumps off its perch. The protagonist peeks out from behind the tree, wondering if the monster has finally given up. To his horror, the giant swamp crab climbs out of the pond and onto land. The crab snaps its claws aggressively. It activates Dash, scuttling sideways with terrifying speed to close the distance. The protagonist watches in shock as the predator rushes toward his hiding spot. Realizing the crab wants to eat him, the slime mold panics and frantically climbs the tree trunk. The slime mold clings to the tree, looking down at the crab. He feels relieved, thinking he can avoid the water attacks by climbing. He regrets how quickly he became the prey instead of the hunter. A chittering sound from above interrupts his relief. He looks up to see a large, pale spider with red eyes climbing down toward him. Unthreatened, the protagonist dismissively waves a tentacle, telling the spider to move as he's busy with the crab. He arrogantly warns the spider not to be ungrateful, boasting he has eaten plenty of bugs like it. The spider does not back down. It hisses aggressively, its red eyes glowing. The spider suddenly uses Arachnid Slash, its front leg striking like a blade with blinding speed. To his shock, the attack slices through his body, severing a large chunk of slime and dealing 30 damage. The spider catches and eats the severed slime. The protagonist is bewildered, thinking he was immune to blades. A status window reveals the level 16 spider monster has swordsmanship level 8. Before he can process this, a blast of high-pressure water strikes the tree trunk inches from him. The splash hits him for another 17 damage. He realizes he's trapped between the sword-wielding spider above and the water-gunning crab below. He looks up at the terrifying spider blocking his path, cursing his terrible luck. Tears well up in his eye as he realizes he's trapped in another dead end. On the ground, the giant swamp crab aims and fires another bubble barrage up the tree. The protagonist dodges at the last second. The water beam misses him and hits the spider monster in the face. The force of the blast knocks the spider off the tree. The spider monster lands below, furious at the unprovoked attack. It immediately retaliates by shooting a stream of white webbing at the crab. The arachnid silk shot hits the giant swamp crab, hindering its movements. Seizing the opening, the spider monster leaps down and uses Arachnid Slash on the crab's hard shell. The crab defends with Crustacean Carapace, hardening its shell to block the spider's leg. The crab counterattacks with Crustacean Clamp, snapping its claws, while the spider uses Arachnid Silk Control to dodge the pincers. The crab is annoyed by the sticky webs binding its claws. Meanwhile, high in the tree, the protagonist watches the chaos. He internally celebrates that his plan to turn his enemies against each other has succeeded. Below, the battle rages on, the crab bubbles at the mouth, struggling to rip the webbing off its claws. The spider monster seizes the moment, delivering a precise slash to the crab's eye stalk. It causes a burst of light and pain. The spider hisses, ready to follow up. But the giant swamp crab swings its massive claw violently, forcing the spider to dodge a heavy blow. The agile spider monster leaps into the air, avoiding the crab's clumsy attacks. The giant swamp crab struggles on the ground, its massive claw bound by thick white webbing. Taking advantage of the crab's immobility, the spider uses Arachnid Silk Control, moving at blinding speed to wrap the crustacean in a silk prison. The crab is soon helpless and fully cocooned, while the spider climbs its shell to claim victory. From the tree, the protagonist, Slime Mold, watches in surprise. He thinks the stinky crab is tied up like one from a grocery store and is amazed the little spider turned the tables on the larger predator. The spider looms over the crab's face, ready to feast. The crab stares back, foam bubbling from its mouth. The bubbles gather quickly, glowing with a strange pressure. Suddenly, a huge blade of compressed water erupts from the crab's mouth with a deafening sound, slicing through the air. The attack creates a whirlwind of water blades, instantly shredding the silk cocoon. Caught in the blast, the spider monster is immediately sliced into pieces in midair. The crab's desperate counterattack unleashes a storm of water cutters in all directions. A stray water blade slices the tree trunk, missing the protagonist by inches. He shivers, realizing the crab's survival instincts triggered a devastating hidden power. Below, the giant swamp crab collapses from exhaustion, spitting a final, weak stream of water as its adrenaline fades. The battle ends with the spider monster as a pile of limbs and the crab lying motionless, drained of energy. The protagonist peeks from behind the tree roots, waiting for the terrifying water attacks to stop before he moves. Once the chaotic three-way battle is over, the forest falls silent. The spider monster is in pieces, and the giant swamp crab lies helpless in its webbing. Seeing the danger has passed, the protagonist, Slime Mold, emerges from his hiding spot. He approaches the immobilized crab, mocking it for wasting its energy shooting water wildly and ending up in a pathetic state. However, he faces a dilemma on how to finish the sturdy creature. Suffocating it is too dangerous, and he can't force mushrooms into its clamped mouth. He decides to act quickly before the crab recovers. Looking for a weapon, his gaze lands on a large, heavy rock nearby. He spreads his body over the stone, trying to absorb it into his inventory using slime space. But a system error flashes, insufficient space. He realizes his storage size depends on his health points, which are too low after the battle for the rock to fit. Choosing the kill over his hoard, he vomits his entire mushroom collection to free up inventory space. With his inventory cleared, he successfully absorbs the massive rock into his body. The immense weight makes his yellow body bulge, and he hits the ground with a heavy thud. He complains about the weight but pushes on, dragging his heavy, rock-filled body. He slowly climbs the tree, positioning himself high above the trapped monster. He looks down at the crab, declaring he has come to take its life. Using gravity, the protagonist lets go of the tree and drops like a stone toward the target. The giant swamp crab looks up in terror at the massive yellow object falling from the sky. In a last effort, it shoots one final high-pressure water stream from its mouth. The water jet hits the falling rock and slime, but its momentum is too great. The protagonist endures the damage, determined to crush his enemy. The crab braces for impact as the shadow falls over it. With a deafening crash, the rock-filled slime mold slams into the crab's shell, creating a massive shockwave. The dust settles, showing the protagonist on the crushed crab shell. The system confirms the kill, awarding him enough experience for level 14 and 0.5 skill points. Overjoyed by his survival and victory, the protagonist laughs maniacally, celebrating his triumph as the last one standing. Without wasting a moment, he settles on his fresh kill, happily announcing it's time to feast. The protagonist, Slime Mold, eagerly prepares to enjoy his hard-won meal, sitting on the crab's overturned shell like a chef. He arranges the crab's organs in a row in the shell like a soup bowl, and uses a piece of leg meat as a utensil, ignoring the spider's remains. He dips the white crab meat into the rich yellow roe, ready to dig in. His first bite overwhelms him with flavor. After days of eating moldy wood, snails, and insects, the fresh seafood taste is a flavor explosion in his mind. Tears stream down his slimy face as he realizes good food heals the soul. He renews his vow to survive in this dangerous world to find more delicious food. He eats everything, leaving no waste, and lies back on a log, stuffed and satisfied. A status window shows he is now level 14 with 168 health points. He feels fully recharged and energetic. With his hunger gone, the protagonist decides to use his new energy for an experiment. He sits before a rock, focusing on his internal body structure. He squeezes his body muscles tightly, straining with all his might. His single eye bulges from the pressure as he tries to force something out, screaming internally from the effort. Panting, he glares at the rock, commanding the power to come out. He recalls the crab's bubble barrage attack, reasoning that skills can be learned through practice. The crab compressed water to shoot it, and he figures a slime mold should be able to do it too. With new determination, he squeezes his internal fluids again, chanting for the attack to appear. The protagonist tries to copy the crab's attack by squeezing his body. He strains, but only a few weak squirts shoot from his backside in the wrong direction. He tries again, aiming forward with straining noises, but the yellow liquid only dribbles out weakly. Exhausted, he melts into a puddle. He complains that he can't control the liquid's direction or force, feeling defeated. But his frustration turns to determination. Refusing to fail, he tenses his whole body, compressing his internal fluids to the limit. Suddenly, a high-speed jet of yellow fluid shoots from his body with great force, activating his Burst Level 1 skill. The projectile hits the crab's shell, piercing a hole through it. The system announces his Burst skill has evolved into a new attack, Cytoplasm Jet. The system explains the skill uses his internal cytoplasm to launch his own body mass as a projectile. The protagonist laughs, thrilled that he can evolve skills through practice. He pauses, suddenly worried. He recalls his previous skills had a 5-minute cooldown and wonders if this attack does too. To test it, he quickly fires 2 more shots. To his delight, he fires a rapid barrage, piercing the crab shell repeatedly. The system confirms the skill has no cooldown. After firing continuously, the skill upgrades to level 2. However, he realizes the power's heavy cost. He is shriveled into a thin stick. A system alert warns his health is critical because each shot uses his own biomass, health points, as ammo. He realizes that with no magic, his body is his only combat resource. A bit disappointed he can't be a mage, he eats the crab to recover his lost mass. While eating, he has an idea. If eating restores him, what if he ate the parts of himself that were cut off earlier? He searches and finds a large chunk of his yellow slime on the grass. The piece looks surprisingly large, and he wonders if he lost that much mass when the spider sliced him. To test his theory, he touches the separated piece to his main body, activating reclamation. As he absorbs the piece, he experiences memories from its perspective. He sees himself fighting the spider and dropping the rock, but from the outside, realizing the severed piece had its own consciousness. Slime Mold realizes something brilliant about his body. Severed parts, though lacking consciousness, can decompose things independently. By reabsorbing them later, he can collect the health and experience they've gathered. Delighted, he hums a tune, thinking he has found a bug or exploit in the system. He imagines sending out multiple fragments to work in different locations, turning his single mouth into many to drastically increase his leveling speed. He immediately tests this theory using division. A piece of his yellow body separates, costing him 10 health points. But both his main body and the split part look weak. He realizes a limitation. If his health drops below 30, he enters a dangerous state of starvation. With a max health of 198, he reasons that with enough food to replenish his health, he can create as many clones as he wants. He strains his body. He forcefully rips a large chunk of slime from his main form, taking 30 damage to create a substantial clone. The separated yellow blob wiggles and moves on its own, confirming the experiment's success. He imagines himself wearing a ninja headband, realizing the ability is like the shadow clone technique from a famous manga. Excited, he raises a fist and declares it's time to start working. He commands one small slime clone to decompose a dead log. He directs others to a nearby mushroom pile. His status screen shows he's a level 14 slime mold with 198 HP and skills like decomposition, pulsation, poison resistance, and cytoplasm jet. He's satisfied with his strategy. Send out clones to farm resources while he stays back, eating leftover spider meat to keep his main body safe and at full health. Mastering his body, he imagines himself in a cool, humanoid armored form, feeling incredibly strong. He analyzes combat, visualizing a normal thrust from a weapon passing through him harmlessly. He reasons even a normal slash or a powerful energy slash would fail, as his liquid body would just reconnect. He concludes physical attacks can't threaten him, but his expression turns serious as he considers the one thing he still fears. He contemplates his physical immunity, wondering if he's invincible. He imagines being hit by a magic attack, questioning if magic could kill him since physical attacks fail. He wonders if he hasn't seen magic yet, because this world is just a wilder animal kingdom. He sets a trap in the murky water, using small pieces of his yellow body as bait to lure in prey. A giant swamp crab bursts from the water, snatching the bait. However, he has laid a trail of slime chunks leading from the water into the grass. A group of crabs follows the trail of food, unaware they are being led into a kill zone. The crabs continue to feast on the yellow lumps, moving further inland. High above, he clings to a tree, watching the crabs gather below as they finish the bait trail. The crabs suddenly look up, noticing a massive shadow falling over them. He pushes the tree branch, again using gravity as his weapon. The branch crashes down with devastating force, instantly smashing the crabs. He celebrates on the branch as the system spams notifications. Defeating 6 crabs at once gives him enough experience to go from level 14 to level 15. He drops to the ground, finishes off any survivors with a rock, and prepares to eat. After decomposing the crab meat, his health is fully restored. He looks at the clean shells, satisfied with his efficient farming method. Now at a higher level, he decides to practice combat, setting up a crab shell against a rock as a target. In his mind, he's a cool gunslinger preparing to fire a skill he calls plasmodial barrage. In reality, he unleashes a rapid storm of yellow slime bullets, peppering the target with speed and force. The target smokes from the impact, and the system announces his plasmodial barrage. Cytoplasm jet skill leveled up from 5 to 6. However, the intensive training takes a toll. The protagonist is shown shriveled and dried out, his health critically low due to using his own body mass as ammunition. As he eats a mushroom to recover from the autophagy state, he notes that after 2 days of hard training, both the power and accuracy of his attacks have significantly improved. He analyzes his stamina, noting he can only fire 30 cytoplasm jet shots before his health is at risk. He wonders how to make them more lethal without using more of his body. An idea strikes him as he picks up a poisonous mushroom and a rock, deciding to add ingredients to his ammunition. He theorizes that wrapping a poisonous mushroom in the slime projectile can inflict poison damage from a distance. Similarly, encasing a rock within the slime will significantly increase the shot's physical impact. He tests this immediately, firing a rock-infused shot that hits the target with a loud crack, proving its power. Pleased, he arrogantly calls himself a genius for inventing such a versatile attack. A soft cooing interrupts his celebration. He sees a strange light in a nearby tree hollow and wonders if it's a bird or fireflies. Curious, he approaches the tree to investigate the noise. He climbs up the trunk and peeks directly into the glowing hole. To his shock, he's face to face with a spectral, glowing blue owl. Its magical aura terrifies him. He instantly panics, screaming internally. His worst fear has come true. He has found a monster that can use magic. Fearing a spell, he drops from the tree and frantically slithers away to escape. But the owl doesn't chase him. It sits quietly in the tree, watching him flee. This is not a wild beast, but a magical skill called symbiotic scrying. Far away, a human woman looks through her hand like a telescope. Her right eye glows with the same blue light as the owl, showing she shares its vision. She rides a large, armored boar with 2 other adventurers. When a bearded man asks if she found anything, she lowers her hand and replies she saw nothing important, just a strange little monster. The group of human adventurers moves through the forest. The pink-haired scout finds it strange they haven't seen any high-level monsters. The bearded warrior tells Little Steel back to stay sharp and lead the way, worried that their magical link to the guildmaster is cut off. Meanwhile, the slime mold panics, fleeing as fast as possible. Believing the owl spotted him, he's terrified of provoking a magic user and knows he can't mess with that guy. He reaches a river, hoping to be safe on the other side, but he is unsure how to cross the gap. Remembering physics and the momentum theorem, he launches himself into the air. In mid-flight, he activates his plasmodial barrage skill. Instead of attacking, he fires the slime projectiles backward for propulsion. The move works, but costs him 80 points of self-damage as he rockets forward. The force propels him high through the trees, clearing the river easily. He crashes on the other side, exhausted but relieved, thinking he has escaped the danger. He eats dead wood to recover health, realizing that while strong for his level, a higher-tier opponent would instantly kill him. Suddenly, a terrifying pressure descends on him, a dark, fiery red aura. He freezes, feeling a presence more terrifying than the snake-tailed terror bird. He assumes the magic owl has found him. He slowly turns but realizes the source of the fear is not the owl. Lying on the forest floor is a colossal, severed claw with white scales and a black nail. It is massive enough to crush the trees beneath it. He stares in confusion, his single eye trying to process what he sees. A giant finger. His fear turns to euphoric greed. He sees the limb as a legendary golden finger, a story term for a cheat-like power-up. He knows that if he absorbs this high-level monster part, he will gain immense power and possibly achieve a massive evolution. He laughs maniacally at his luck. He immediately tries to consume the golden finger, spreading his body over the scales and activating his dissolution skill to absorb its power. He wraps his slime tendrils around the object, trying to break down the surface. However, he struggles to digest it, finding the process difficult and painful. A system alert flashes. Decomposition failed. His skill is too low or the level gap is too vast. The target's invulnerability triggers, and its overwhelming power repels his cells. Instead of gaining experience, he takes continuous damage, 10, 20, 10, as the finger's energy burns him. Realizing he is killing himself, he activates autotomy, severing the connection to escape. A chunk of his body flies off as he recoils from the failed meal. He looks at the finger with regret, seeing only tiny +1 experience points. He curses himself for not upgrading his decomposition skill. He laments his situation, feeling like he has a great treasure he can't use. He realizes he can't decompose it, and his inventory is too small to carry it. He decides to leave it, grind levels to max out his skill, and return for it later. Just as he makes this plan, the ground begins to rumble violently beneath him. The severed finger suddenly activates, glowing with energy and rocketing off the ground. It tears through the earth, flying straight up and crashing through the forest canopy. He watches in shock as his golden finger flies away on its own. The launch sends shockwaves and debris flying. He spots a blast heading his way, realizing he's caught in the crossfire. The blast strikes the ground near him, creating a massive crater. He barely survives, trembling in the aftermath. Terrified by the power he witnessed, he huddles under a tree root, lamenting how scary the world is. He realizes the further he travels, the more insignificant he feels. He abandons his arrogance and returns to his roots, hiding and decomposing dead wood to grow stronger safely. Beneath him, the earth shows worms, gems, and a buried mimic monster waiting in the dark. Deep underground, the severed finger has landed after burrowing through the earth. In the darkness, the finger sits silently before erupting with a terrifying red and black aura, revealing it's not just a body part, but something sinister and alive. The slime mold checks his mental map. The golden finger is far northeast, and the magical owl is southwest, placing him in a safe zone within the dense forest. He finds a thick tree to establish a temporary base, planning to rest and retrieve his clones the next day. With his dissolution skill, he attaches to the trunk and starts melting through the bark. He plans a narrow entrance to block large monsters, while making the inside spacious and comfortable. He imagines wearing a hard hat and eagerly starts his excavation project. He dissolves the wood layer by layer, tunneling deep into the tree. For light, he plants a luminous mushroom, which emits a weak poison with its blue glow. Exhausted but satisfied, he collapses on a moss bed he gathered. He admires his finished home, now with a stone table for food and bathed in the mushroom's light. His temporary base has a clever design. A poison mushroom plugs the entrance, a tunnel leads to a fake decoy chamber below, and a hidden passage connects to his real, safe chamber above. Feeling triumphant, the slime mold flexes a tentacle holding a twig. He lies on his moss bed, chewing the twig like a cigar, enjoying the feeling of a secure home. His relaxation is cut short by a loud, rhythmic buzzing that vibrates through the wood, annoying him. Angry, he pokes his head out of the hollow and yells at the noise to stop. He sees a massive swarm of wasps in the canopy. Instead of fear, he observes their numbers and gets an idea. Giant wasps zoom through the forest, patrolling their territory. The slime fires a cytoplasm jet from his hiding spot, smashing one of the wasps in midair. He then sits openly at his base's entrance, acting as bait and taunting the swarm to provoke them. Enraged, the swarm dives at the tree, thrusting their stingers into the slime. He quickly retracts deep into the narrow hole, causing the wasps to miss or get their stingers stuck. They furiously attack the entrance, unaware of his trap. Safe inside his fortress, the protagonist sighs with relief. He discovers his sticky body acts like flypaper. The attacking wasps get trapped, and the system notifies him he's gaining experience points effortlessly. Seeing his plan work, he gets more ambitious. He stops attacking and lets 2 survivors fly away. He quietly follows them through the forest to a massive wasp nest high in the canopy. From a branch, he observes their home base. His eye narrows as he plots to destroy the nest. He reveals himself, catching the attention of the sentry bees. The sentries release a pheromone signal, alerting the colony. A loud buzzing fills the air as thousands of wasps pour out. He stands his ground, thinking that since stings are useless against his body, more enemies just mean more experience points. But the wasps use an unexpected strategy. They swarm him, forming a tight, vibrating ball and flapping their wings in unison. The friction creates intense heat, like an oven. A system warning flashes. The temperature is critical, and his cells are dying. He panics, taking continuous damage. Shocked, the wasps can cook him alive. Refusing to be cooked, the slime mold retaliates with his plasmodial barrage. The slime projectiles shred the wasp workers and break their formation. The battle shifts when a new enemy appears. A heavy unit that blocks his shots with a beeswax shield. The armored insect charges, its amber shield deflecting the once lethal slime bullets. He clings to the branch, realizing the hive's main guards are much stronger than the scouts he fought earlier. His eye widens in shock. He spots a unique white-furred insect with a wooden staff. It waves its staff, conjuring a glowing magical circle overhead. The swarm summon skill activates. A massive army descends from the hive, raining down on the terrified slime. The enemy hierarchy is clear. Wasp workers, defensive wasp guards, and a wasp mage commander. He trembles, realizing he faces an evolved form using magic, his greatest fear. The wasp mage coldly issues a command. Armored wasp guards dive toward the slime to execute him. He unleashes his plasmodial barrage, firing yellow fluid at the incoming army. The attack is effective, blasting the insects from the sky across the canopy. But the sheer number of enemies forces him to fire non-stop, draining his biomass. His health drops 10 points per shot, and his body shrivels. To sustain the assault, he uses a clever strategy. While firing, he anchors himself to the branch and uses decomposition to drain nutrients from the wood, regenerating 10 HP per tick to offset the cost. Despite his infinite ammo, the wasp guards press their attack. One raises its beeswax shield, deflecting the shots. He is frustrated, knowing he needs his last stone to reinforce a projectile and break their defense. Seeing his attacks fail, 2 wasp guards dive to finish the job. They crash into him, stabbing his gooey body. But physical contact is his specialty. He mocks the soldiers for delivering themselves to his door, as his body entraps them. The guards get stuck in the fluid, their armor dissolving as he decomposes them alive. After decomposing the enemies, he decides to claim the spoils. His inventory updates with wasp spears and a wasp needle from the guards. But a system alert warns his storage is full, so he must use the items now. He improvises, enveloping a sharp wasp spear in his slime as a projectile core. He spins it rapidly for stability and power. He fires the enhanced shot at a wasp guard. It shatters the beeswax shield and skewers the soldier behind it. Seeing its guard destroyed, the wasp mage realizes its defenses are beaten. It waves its staff. Obeying, the entire swarm breaks formation and flies back to the hive, abandoning the assault. He remains on the branch, watching them leave. He scoffs, believing they retreated because they feared his power. The battle intensifies as the wasp mage forms a swirling ball of golden energy. Seeing the glowing liquid, the slime mold is distracted. It looks like honey, and he wants to taste it, even mid-fight. But the mage isn't offering food. It raises its staff and ignites the sphere, casting Spark Ember. The wasp mage launches the fireball downward like a meteor. The attack hits the slime mold for 70 damage, causing him to scream as his health plummets. The mage continues, launching multiple flaming projectiles in a relentless attack. The slime mold scrambles away, realizing fire is a counter to his body. The attack mixes fire and sticky honey for splash damage. Though he regenerates slightly, he knows he can't win and decides to run. He frantically dodges as explosive spells blast the tree bark around him. To slow them down while retreating, he turns and fires his plasmodial barrage, a stream of yellow slime projectiles. 2 armored wasps move forward to intercept the attack. They use twin beeswax barrier, combining shields to form a green wall that blocks the slime and protects the mage. Clinging to the tree as fire rains down, the slime mold complains about their strong defensive skills. Accepting defeat, he slides down the trunk, fleeing as explosions tear up the wood behind him. The wasp mage uses a powerful spell, Swarm Summon, to call for reinforcements. From the hive emerges a new enemy, the self-destruct bee. Bloated with energy, their glowing abdomens crawl out to defend the hive. The Suicide Squad charges forward in a mass assault. They dive-bomb the tree trunk where the slime is hiding in a coordinated strike. On impact, they detonate, causing a chain reaction of explosions that engulfs the area in flames. The slime mold leaps from the burning trunk to avoid the fire. He lands on a lower branch, his gooey body absorbing the impact. However, the wasp mage sees him and directs its soldiers to cut off his escape. The slime feels the branch shaking violently. He sees 2 large wasps sawing through the branch. It snaps, and the slime mold falls. As he falls, he sees a trap below. Hundreds of self-destruct bees waiting for him. Above, the wasp mage prepares its final attack, conjuring a massive ball of yellow energy that looks like a sun. The mage hurls the massive spell downward. The fireball streaks toward the slime and the bees, showing the mage will sacrifice its own troops for the kill. The slime watches the attack descend, his vision filled with blinding light. The spell hits the slime, causing a huge explosion. A mushroom cloud rises above the forest, visible from far away. As the dust settles, the exhausted wasp mage and its guards lower their weapons, believing the threat is gone. Burning pieces of wood rain down, the only remnants of the destroyed area. The forest is calm, and the guards return to their duties. But a sudden disturbance catches their attention. 2 guards carrying resources back to the hive freeze mid-air. The wasp mage's eyes widen in shock, realizing they are not alone. Suddenly, the slime mold bursts from the tree bark behind them in a sneak attack. Before the insects react, the yellow predator charges through the air. The slime engulfs the guards, trapping them. He taunts them, saying the nest's interior is now defenseless. The slime had survived the attack with a clever plan. Earlier, instead of just hiding, he had eaten through the wood, creating a secret tunnel to the nest. Just before the explosion, he used 150 HP to create a split-body clone, leaving it outside as a decoy. The plan worked. The wasps focused their fire on the decoy, while the real, smaller slime used the chaos to slip past and climb the tree. Now the slime mold breaks through the hive wall, going deep into enemy territory. Inside, he uses his search skill, spreading his body to map the tunnels. He moves through the corridors, passing a food storage room, as it's not his target. He checks a chamber with giant larvae, but ignores it too. He finds a golden chamber filled with honeycombs, which greatly tempts him. But he stays focused, leaving the honey for later as he hunts for the nest's core. The slime mold bursts from the ground into the nest's deepest chamber. He immediately spots his defenseless target. It's the queen wasp, a massive, immobile creature. She lies on a cushion, eating to produce more soldiers. The intrusion alerts the defenders. The wasp guards and mage spin around, realizing their defenses were bypassed. The royal guard, led by the furious wasp mage, glares at the intruder with glowing red eyes. The slime climbs onto the queen's abdomen. Holding a rock over her head, he warns the guards that she's his hostage. The queen trembles in terror as the rock looms over her head. However, the slime miscalculates. Instead of surrendering, the enraged wasp mage orders an immediate attack. The wasp guards obey, charging forward to kill the intruder, ignoring the risk to their queen. The slime's eye widens, realizing negotiation has failed. With no other choice, he slams the rock down, brutally killing the queen. The wasp mage freezes in shock, witnessing the death of the colony's heart. The effect is instant. Outside, thousands of wasps lose their ability to fly and fall from the sky. Inside, the mage and guards collapse. The slime explains the queen was a host machine, and without her, the swarm dies. He stands over the dead queen, disappointed negotiation failed. As the colony dies, the system announces he has leveled up from 15 to 17. In the quiet moonlit forest, a system notification confirms the slime mold can level up after destroying the hive. He drops from a tree, landing among the dead suicide bees. The system warns that the bee waste will stop giving experience in 24 hours, and his temporary health boost will soon disappear. He opens his status window. He's reached level 21 with 918 HP. His skills have improved. Pulsation is at max level, poison resistance is level 7, and he has a new skill, Central Command, level 2. Confused by the new Central Command skill, he tries to add skill points but nothing happens. He wonders if it's useless since he has no one to command. He tries to upgrade Decomposition, but a warning says racial skills only improve with practice. Disappointed, he maxed out Pulsation instead. His increased health also expanded his inventory space. His inventory is packed with glowing hornet monster honey. The description says it recovers 400 HP, making it a valuable treasure. Exhausted from the raid, the slime mold sits in the grass, panting to catch his breath. Alone in the moonlight, surrounded by dead insects, he wonders why he feels complex emotions when, as a slime, he has no heart. He reflects on his journey, recalling the enemies he's eaten to survive: an acid snail, a spider monster, and a giant swamp crab. His path of predation has led him from bugs to destroying a whole hornet colony. Suddenly, he has a tragic vision, a memory from his prey. A young crab boy asks his mother why his dad isn't home to play games. The vision shows the crab father in a suit calling his wife. He says he's with clients and can't come home. The mother comforts her son, saying his father is working hard for them. A crab-shaped clock on the wall shows it's nearly midnight. The mother worries when her husband doesn't call. Fearing he's passed out drunk, she tells her son they must go find Daddy Crab. They walk into the dark night. The child sings about a storm, and his mother shushes him. Unaware, Daddy Crab has already been eaten by the slime. In a dark alley, the father sways, holding a briefcase. The crab boy sees the silhouette and joyfully shouts that his father is back. The mother calls out, confused why the figure is walking away from their home. Seeing the figure stumble, she assumes her husband is drunk and tells her son to help. The crab boy runs happily toward the silhouette. The figure turns. It's not the father, but a mutated slime mold in his clothes. With a twisted red eye, the monster whispers that his daddy was delicious. The boy screams in horror. Shaken by the vision, the slime mold panics, realizing he has become a villain. He tries to calm down in the dark forest. He tells himself he's overthinking because he still has a human mind. As a monster in this world, he can't control these guilty feelings. He sees Predator's eyes in the darkness and accepts the law of the jungle: hunt or be hunted. He resolves that hunting and decomposing are his only options. Focusing on survival, he decides to find the clone he released earlier to see what it gathered. The slime mold leaps quickly through the forest undergrowth. He jumps over bushes, heading toward his clone. Suddenly he stops. He sees a bright, warm glow through a gap in the trees. He realizes the light is from a campfire. Curious and cautious, he moves through the bushes for a better look. Wondering if humans are nearby, he sneaks a look. Peering through the leaves, his heart races as he confirms his suspicion. Humans. He spots 3 adventurers resting by a fire. Hidden in the bushes, the slime mold is shocked and nervous to see people in this monster-filled world. At the camp, the pink-haired scout, Nia Ross, C rank, rests against a sleeping armored boar. She pets the beast, little steelback, thanking it for finding the path. By the fire, the bearded warrior, Rake Carter, B rank, apologizes to his team. He blames himself for getting them lost while searching for their target. The hooded figure reading a book, Cole Fern, B rank, analyzes their situation. He notes that magic communication is cut off and the forest is a maze. He tells Rake not to blame himself, as these anomalies were unpredictable. Cole suggests they report to the church after they escape. Their conversation reveals the guildmaster has been missing for 2 years. Cole adds that there were rumors the church was suspicious of their guild before he disappeared. 10 years ago, Guildmaster Gon founded the 100-Style Guild on a philosophy of equality with the motto, no deception, no abuse, no evil. The guild became famous for its generosity and unity. The guild's fast growth drew the church's suspicion. 2 years ago, Gon took a mission from the Pope to the swamp forest and was never seen again. Rake Carter says that without the master, the guild has crumbled. He thanks Nia and Cole for being the only ones who joined his search squad. Nia Ross humbly says she owes Gon everything. Without his guild that accepted everyone, her niche profession would have prevented her from becoming an adventurer. Cole, still reading, cynically remarks that Nia can control magic beasts and would be sought after by other guilds, so she needn't worry about her future. Angered, Nia yells at Cole to shut up and go to sleep. Cole quickly apologizes, realizing he struck a nerve. Meanwhile, the slime mold strains to listen from the bushes. He only catches words like guild and church. He realizes learning about the human world's politics is crucial for his survival. He uses his shapeshifting ability, extending a flat tendril from the bush across the ground to act as a sound receiver. The slime mold now listens intently from the grass as the unaware adventurers talk. The eavesdropping is interrupted when Cole, without looking up from his book, calmly announces a monster is nearby. The slime mold realizes he's been detected and panics. Before he can retract his tendril, an ice spike cast by Cole bursts from the ground, impaling the limb. The attack is devastating. A system notification says the frost effect is super effective, reducing his speed by 90% and leaving him shivering. Desperate, the slime drags his frozen limb back into the bushes, leaving an icy trail. Cole tells his companions he handled it. Rake readies his shield, asking where the enemy is, while Nia commands her boar, Little Steelback, to investigate. Encased in ice, the slime mold stares in horror as the boar looms over him. Little Steelback sniffs the frozen slime, wondering if the yellow lump is food. Deciding it's a frozen treat, the boar crunches down on the slime, who screams internally as he's chewed. His eye widens in terror. He tries to flee, thinking this is the end. He is convinced he's about to die in the boar's mouth. Just as he prepares for death, Nia shouts at the boar not to eat the strange creature. She lectures her pet not to kill indiscriminately. Dismissing the slime mold as a harmless small monster, she orders the boar to spit it out. Following her command, the armored boar spits the slime mold out in a glob of saliva. Nia catches the sticky creature, holding him up to her face. With a warm expression, she says he feels familiar and asks the little monster if he wants to form a contract with her. Overcome with joy, the slime mold sees her as an angel. He mentally screams, "Yes!" believing he's finally found a magical bond. Rake Carter interrupts, scolding Nia for messing around. He says they must save their mana to escape the forest, not wasted on a low-level slime. The slime mold tries to shout that he's a slime mold, but no sound comes out. Nia agrees and places the slime on the grass. He realizes with disappointment that the humans can't hear him. Refusing to give up, he decides to use body language to communicate. He contorts his yellow body, stretching his tendrils to form shapes on the ground. Nia points out the strange behavior to Rake. He proudly forms Chinese characters with his body, confident it will prove he's intelligent. The plan backfires. Rake misunderstands the characters and asks if the slime is just making waste. Nia looks confused, unsure of what it's doing. Frustrated, he realizes the humans in this world don't read or speak Chinese. He gives up on communicating, fearing they might kill him if he acts too strangely. He consoles himself that at least humans exist here, even if he can't talk to them yet. Under the moonlight, the slime mold leaps across the water, getting away from the humans he just met. Safely on the grass, he recalls the magical threat. He hopes to avoid the spectral owl, as magical surveillance is his biggest weakness. He decides to test a new skill from the Wasp battle. Activating Nucleus Command, a digital grid scans his surroundings. His senses become a radar system. The skill beeps as it sweeps the area for signals. The blue grid expands through the trees, mapping the dark forest. On a rock, the slime mold waits for the scan to find the clones he left behind. The system locks onto a target. He senses a split body, realizing Nucleus Command tracks the pieces of himself. He rushes through the forest, following the signal to recover his lost mass. The signal grows stronger, leading him to a large, glowing yellow mass by a fallen log. The slime mold is shocked. The clone has grown massive on its own, and he wonders how much it decomposed. He activates Reclamation and merges with the giant clone, absorbing its nutrients. The system announces a huge gain in experience and health points. Energized, he leaps toward the next signal to continue his harvest. He finds and absorbs another clone. His poison resistance upgrades to level 8. The combined experience levels him up to 22. The slime mold lands on the grass, eager to continue harvesting experience. He activates Nucleus Command again, but the signal is faint and beeping weakly. Confused, he wonders why the signal dropped and frantically searches for the source. Scanning the area, he spots movement near some mushrooms and realizes his target is there. To his horror, an acid snail is devouring his clone. Enraged, the slime mold yells at the creature and fires a cytoplasm jet, hitting it. The attack knocks the enemy away, leaving the clone trembling. He acts like the clone is a bullied child and promises to comfort it. He approaches the mushroom patch to reclaim what's left of his mass. Suddenly, a fast red blur strikes from above, smashing the mushrooms. A long, sticky tongue scoops up the slime, stealing the clone in front of him. The culprit is a fat green frog, which swallows the clone with a satisfied croak. The slime mold stares in shock as the frog burps. His experience points are gone. His shock turns to fury. With a glare, he swears the stinking frog will pay for eating his clone. The slime mold unleashes a plasmodial barrage, firing a projectile at the thief. The green forest frog notices the attack. The shot hits the frog in the face with great force, knocking it backward. Seeing the frog fall, the slime mold scoffs, boasting he is now strong enough to fight a snake-tailed terror bird. However, his confidence turns to confusion. To his surprise, the frog isn't defeated. It opens its mouth and catches the projectile, unharmed. Before he can fire again, the frog leaps high into the air. It dives into the river with a splash, escaping into the deep water. The slime mold rushes to the rock's edge, shouting that the frog can't escape. The frog's head pops out of the water, and it croaks, mocking him from safety. Refusing to let it escape, the slime mold fires a volley of shots into the water. His attacks are useless. The projectiles hit the water's surface and lose their momentum, splashing harmlessly. The slime mold stops firing, frustrated. He realizes he's powerless as long as the frog is underwater. The green forest frog suddenly leaps out of the river. The slime mold watches, deducing the frog needed air. He declares this vulnerability means it's dead. But the frog isn't just breathing, it pushes off the water's surface to gain momentum. It uses power release, launching itself toward shore like a rocket with its mouth open. The slime mold narrowly dodges as the frog crashes into the rock where he was standing. While the frog recovers, the slime mold fires a stone-hardened plasmodial barrage at it. The shot strikes the frog's eye with precision. As the projectile hits, the slime mold quickly retreats up a tree for safety. Safe on a branch, he realizes the frog lured him to the water. He admits he got too cocky after the high victory and must stay humble, as a hunter can become prey. Below, the frog clutches its bleeding eye, injured and enraged. It glares up at the tree and croaks furiously. Ignoring the pain, the frog leaps toward the branch. The slime mold panics, realizing he's out of stone ammunition. He attacks anyway, firing liquid slime projectiles. The frog opens its mouth. Instead of being hurt, the frog catches and eats every slime bullet in midair. The slime mold stares in shock and fear, realizing his attacks are just feeding the monster. The frog ignores its injury and climbs the tree to chase its prey. He realizes the danger too late as the frog's mouth opens. A long, sticky tongue shoots out. The tongue slams into the slime mold, latching on tight. A tug of war begins. The slime mold clings to a branch while the heavy frog pulls him down with great force. The strain is too much. The branch cracks under their combined weight. The branch snaps, and the slime mold falls. He holds the broken wood, terrified as he descends. Below, the frog waits with its mouth open, ready to swallow him whole. In a split second, he uses reverse momentum. He wraps around the broken branch, aiming the sharp end down. He thrusts the spear into the frog's mouth, shouting, "Eat this!" The wood impales the frog's brain. The blow knocks the frog backward. It falls from the tree, spraying blood, as the slime mold stays safe. The dead frog crashes into the water with a splash, ending the battle. The slime mold clings to the trunk, relieved the dangerous battle is over. Below, the frog's lifeless body sinks into the water, staining it red with blood. The corpse sinks into the murky depths, gone for good. From the tree, the slime mold looks down with regret. It's a shame the body is in the water, as he can't decompose it for experience. Suddenly, the water bubbles. Two glowing, menacing eyes appear in the depths, glaring up. A beam of light erupts from the water. The slime mold panics as the blast slices the air next to him. The attack hits the tree trunk, cutting through it with terrifying power. The blast sends the tree and the screaming slime mold flying into the night sky. The enemy reveals its new form. It is now a pale, glowing entity with red eyes, activating Sanctified Fall. The slime mold is bewildered by his enemy's sudden transformation, shouting in confusion at how a dead frog could revive with such power. The sanctified frog pulls itself from the broken tree, its red eyes glaring with hate at the slime mold as it prepares to kill him. Suddenly, the growths on the frog's eyes erupt, shooting high-pressure blood at the slime like laser beams. The slime mold narrowly dodges the attack, as the corrosive blood hits the tree where he had just been standing. Realizing he is outmatched, the slime mold shoots a stream of slime upward to grab a high branch. He swings quickly from tree to tree, trying to put distance between himself and the monster. As he escapes, he analyzes the situation. He knows a wise mold retreats, but is confused why this weak monster has a third form when others were easily eaten. Finding it suspicious, he decides running away is his only option. However, the sanctified frog refuses to let him escape, roaring as it gives chase with unnatural speed. Using its sticky tongue, the frog swings through the air, perfectly matching the slime mold's movements and closing in. The frog pauses, wiping blood from its mouth, its body glowing with a sinister light as it charges a new attack. It unleashes Sanguine Lash, a whip of solidified blood that slices through the air, severing the slime mold's tendril and dealing 199 damage. The slime mold falls as a system alert warns a foreign object has invaded him. He panics, realizing the frog's blood is so toxic that his level 8 poison resistance can't stop it. The sanctified frog continues its attack, diving downward while activating a skill called Tongue Lash. Its long, blood-red tongue shoots out like a harpoon, wrapping around the slime mold and dragging him down. Despite being caught, the slime mold is arrogant. He scoffs at taking only 1 damage, confident that physical attacks are useless against his liquid form. His confidence turns to terror when he hits the river. He realizes he has been dragged into his fatal weakness, fresh water. A red alert warns his cell osmotic pressure is critical and he must leave or die. Before he can react, the sanctified frog lunges with its massive jaws wide open. The frog snaps its mouth shut, swallowing the slime mold whole. The forest falls silent as the sanctified frog floats on the water, looking satisfied. However, the frog's mouth bulges and twitches. The slime mold is alive, struggling inside to avoid being swallowed. The frog clamps its jaws tighter, forcing him down its throat. Inside the stomach, the slime mold is submerged in gastric acid. He watches in horror as his health melts away, taking 33 damage per second. Trapped in darkness, the slime mold panics. He tries to escape by ejecting his core but is too exhausted from the struggle and despairs as he cannot use his split skill. On the surface, the sanctified frog croaks triumphantly and splashes, believing it has digested its enemy. Trapped and being digested, the slime mold realizes he must take a desperate gamble. Instead of fighting the weakening water, he dives deeper into it. He intentionally triggers his osmotic pressure weakness. By absorbing water, his body expands rapidly inside the frog's throat. The sanctified frog panics and clutches its throat, realizing something is wrong as its neck bulges unnaturally. The slime mold keeps expanding to fill the frog's mouth and throat, vowing to stuff the monster to death by growing too large for it to contain. The frog croaks in distress, its eyes bulging as the slime forces its jaws open. To survive the damage while expanding, the slime mold consumes all his hornet monster's honey, rapidly healing 400 HP with each dose to fuel his growth. With his health constantly regenerating, the slime mold becomes enormous, stretching the frog's body to its limit. The pressure becomes too much, and with a massive explosion, the sanctified frog bursts from the inside out. Blood and gore scatter across the water as the slime mold's expansion completely destroys his enemy. Victorious, the slime mold floats on the river as a massive mountain of slime. The system notifies him that he has defeated the trash and gained XP. By surviving the toxic blood, he has also obtained a new antibody. After his explosive victory, the slime mold floats among the swamp trees as a huge mountain of green slime. He looks at his massive new body, amazed by his size. A status window displays his new passive ability, Osmotic Pressure Regulation Max. His HP has soared to 11,170, far above his 924 max, but a timer warns the excess health will be gone in 1 hour. He analyzes his new form, realizing his size lets him float like an iceberg. His lower body absorbs water, but his huge volume allows him to regulate the pressure safely. He notes this water immunity is an unexpected benefit from his desperate gamble. However, he panics when he sees the timer. He's horrified that his 10,000 extra hit points, which make him nearly invincible, will disappear so soon. His expression turns serious and greedy. Since he used all his precious honey to achieve this form, he must use this temporary power to get a good return. He laughs maniacally, picturing himself as an unstoppable kaiju. He gets a great idea from the game Rolling Sticky Ball and plans to roll through the forest, collecting everything. In his massive form, the slime mold rolls through the flooded forest like a disaster. As he engulfs vegetation, system notifications pop up, confirming decomposition and granting him experience points. He surges through the trees, using his bulk to efficiently farm resources before his time limit expires. Deep underwater, fish swim peacefully among the roots. Suddenly, the slime mold crashes into the water, scattering the fish. The hunt is frustrating. Although immune to the pressure, the water's drag makes him too slow, and the agile fish aren't worth the effort to catch. Deciding the water is a waste of time, he heads for dry land. He drags his massive body out of the river onto the bank. Nearby, he spots a cluster of mushrooms by a tree. He flows over them, instantly absorbing the fungi. Leaving a hollow trail, he moves further inland. Up ahead, 2 small otter-like creatures stand on the grass with a fish they just caught. The massive slime mold looms over the tiny animals, shouting a greeting and casting a terrifying shadow. Before they can react, he lunges, crashing down with his sticky body. He doesn't eat them. Rolling away, he callously announces he's taking their fish and leaves them behind. The 2 otters sit in the dirt, covered in green slime, staring in traumatized shock as their dinner is stolen. Rolling through the forest, the slime mold rationalizes the theft. He tells himself that sparing the cute otters and only taking their food proves he still has a merciful human soul. His monologue is interrupted when he spots a squirrel holding a nut, its ears and tail tipped with magical flames. Furious at the intruder, the squirrel's body ignites with intense fire. Acrobatically, the squirrel does a handstand and unleashes a fireball from its tail, launching a column of flame at the slime mold. The attack is super effective. The slime mold panics as damage markers appear, realizing fire magic is a dangerous weakness despite his size. However, the size difference is too great. The slime mold looms, warning the tiny creature not to blame him since it attacked first. He slams his massive green body onto the squirrel, joking that playing with fire in the forest is forbidden. When he lifts his body, only a clean skeleton remains. The system confirms the defeat and decomposition, granting him experience points. Deeper in the forest, violent impacts echo through the trees. A large, muscular lizard is sent flying, crashing hard to the ground. Its opponent is an animated tree monster with a glowing crystal in its chest, waving its branch arms aggressively. The lizard recovers, its throat bulging as it prepares to counterattack. It unleashes a powerful stream of liquid from its mouth. The acid spit hits the tree monster, splashing over its body. The acid sizzles and burns, melting the tree monster's bark and flesh as it writhes in agony. Despite its body melting, the tree monster has a survival mechanism. A glowing seed shoots from its dying form, landing safely inside a hollow stump. Drawing energy from the earth, the stump instantly regenerates, restoring the tree monster. Frustrated, the lizard growls as its enemy returns. Activating Wild Rush, it charges forward with incredible speed to finish the fight. The tree monster extends its branches like spears to intercept it. But the lizard is agile, weaving to dodge the strikes as it closes in. The lizard steps in close, ready to bite. But the tree monster is faster. A sharp branch wraps around the lizard's arm, piercing its tough scales. Suddenly, strange white buds sprout rapidly along the branch holding the lizard. One bud blooms into a sinister flower in front of the lizard's face. The lizard stares at the flower, its eye reflecting the petals. The attack is a parasitic infection. Red tumors instantly erupt from the lizard's pupil. The infection is immediate. The lizard's eye explodes in a burst of blood, blinding it as it screams in agony. The tree monster lands a heavy hit, smashing its branch into the lizard while it's still reeling. The force of the blow sends the beast flying, crashing violently into the rocky ground. Blinded and battered, the lizard refuses to give up, scrambling back to its feet. To compensate for its lost sight, the lizard activates thermal vision, allowing it to sense heat signatures. Using this sense, the lizard detects attacks. It perceives the branches as glowing streaks of heat and nimbly dodges to avoid them. The lizard leaps high into the air, soaring above its enemy. It tucks in and spins rapidly, turning into a spinning projectile. Unleashing sharp tail, it uses its spin's momentum for a powerful downward slice. The attack lands with tremendous force, driving the lizard straight down through the tree monster. The creature is destroyed, reduced to splintered wood and green pulp as its core shatters. The lizard roars in triumph over its foe, saliva and blood spraying from its mouth. But the victory is painful. The beast whimpers as the parasitic flower blooms from its eye socket, its roots digging deeper into its flesh. The infected lizard stands blinded, the flower blooming from its eye socket. Suddenly, the massive slime mold rolls down a hill, casting a giant shadow over the dying beast. Mercilessly, the slime mold rolls over the lizard, crushing it with its weight and absorbing it. A system notification alerts the slime mold of a foreign object, but his antibodies neutralized it, granting him experience for the decomposition. The slime mold is briefly confused by the foreign object warning. Dismissing it, he focuses on eating as much as possible before his time runs out. However, as he flattens the forest, he notices something strange. He has rolled over hundreds of acres, yet the forest remains impossibly dense, as if he has made no dent at all. Suddenly, the ground shakes violently beneath him. A massive pillar of dark energy erupts from a distant mountain, shooting up into the night sky. Magical geometric patterns fill the sky as the energy pierces the clouds. The slime mold watches, confused. He wonders if he's hallucinating because despite the massive spectacle in the sky, there is absolutely no sound. Before he can process it, his time limit expires. A system message clears his excess HP, and his giant body bursts into smoke. He instantly shrinks, returning to his original small, spiky form on the grass. After shrinking, the slime mold checks his status. He's shocked to see he has reached level 49, gained the Weak Creature Lord achievement, and his HP is nearly 3,000. He marvels at the stat increase, but a system notification sours his mood. It warns that nutritional overload is complete. The next requirement is 5 times higher, and he won't gain XP for an hour. In the crater his giant form left, he cynically wonders if his new title just makes him boss of the kindergarten. Nauseous from overeating, he opens his inventory to find it stuffed with junk like rocks, wood, and bones. He knows he must clear it out immediately. His body convulses as he vomits a massive pile of items, emptying his inventory onto the forest floor. He lies deflated beside the pile of debris. He feels lighter but is bored and unsure what to do since he can't gain XP for an hour. Suddenly a notification appears. At level 60 he can choose between class change or evolution. The slime mold is thrilled, realizing this is the path to becoming truly strong. He theorizes mimicry is the key to changing classes and speculates evolution is a qualitative change, like an animal gaining human intelligence. His imagination runs wild, picturing himself as a powerful slime mold magen. He laughs, dreaming that he could learn magic and dominate the world in this form. The sound of wings slicing through the air interrupts his fantasy. He looks up to see 3 fast figures flying through the trees. He immediately identifies the threat, a squad of 3 armed wasp mages. The slime mold stares up nervously. He recognizes them as the magic-using hornets he fought before and knows facing 3 at once is a serious problem. Curious where the squad is going, he decides to follow. He leaps into the air, trailing the insects through the forest. He keeps his distance, jumping between trees as he tracks the 3 wasp mages deeper into the woods. He reaches a clearing and is stunned. The forest floor is covered in countless hives linked by organic bridges, forming a massive insect city. Hiding in the grass, the slime mold marvels at the colony's scale. He wonders if this interconnected structure is an evolved form of the swarm. The 3 wasp mages fly down into the colony, joining thousands of others buzzing around. Suddenly, a massive clawed foot stomps down, instantly crushing a hive. A colossal bird, a snake-tailed terror bird, stands in the wreckage. It's like the one he saw when first reborn, but with pale blue feathers. It ignores the wasps and tears into the hives. With a strange but terrifying look, the bird rips open the hive and greedily eats the larvae inside. From his hiding spot, the slime mold sweats. He recognizes the species and recalls how the red version once terrified him into losing his will to live, though this blue one seems different. The colony retaliates. Thousands of soldier wasps launch a coordinated dive bomb attack on the giant predator from all angles. But the bird is heavily armored. A wasp lands and tries to sting, but its attack can't penetrate the thick feathers. Other wasps attack the snake head on its tail, but their stingers bounce off the hard scales. The physical attacks are useless. Changing tactics, the swarm covers the bird's entire body in a living blanket of insects, trying to suffocate or overheat it. But the bird is too strong. It shakes its massive body, throwing thousands of wasps off like dust. With physical attacks failing, the 3 wasp mages enter the fight. They hover above the bird, activate their magic circles, and summon dozens of fireballs aimed at it. The wasp mages begin the bombardment, raining down a torrent of fireballs from their magic circles to incinerate the intruder. The forest floor is engulfed in flames as the projectiles strike, creating deafening explosions that shake the ground. Shielded by a rock, the slime mold trembles at the destructive power, noting this magic is far stronger than the hive he destroyed. However, the attack doesn't harm the beast. The blue snake-tailed terror bird absorbs the flames, its feathers shifting from pale blue to a burning crimson as it consumes the magic. Fully charged by the magic, the bird, now in its red form, tilts its head back and lets out a terrifying screech. Its eye focuses on the floating insects with deadly intent, showing their attack only made it stronger. The 3 wasp mages freeze in midair, their aggression turning to shock as they realize their strongest attack failed. With blinding speed, the bird whips its massive snake tail, smashing through the hives like paper to get to the prey inside. The snake head on its tail uses thermal vision, easily finding the heat signatures of hiding insects in the ruins. Guided by the heat, the snake lunges with precision, snatching a defending wasp in its jaws. The snake mercilessly crushes the insect, tearing it apart instantly. Dead insects rain from the sky as the swarm collapses. From hiding, the slime mold realizes the bird intentionally absorbed the fire to power up and targeted the queen, proving its high intelligence. He decides to wait and scavenge the corpses after it leaves. Suddenly, the bird's wing freezes. Moments later, human adventurers arrive, drawn by the explosion. Colfern notices the magical reaction, and Nia Ross identifies the creature as a snake heron. Rake Carter steps forward, shield raised, warning that the monster is already at Lord level. From behind a rock, the slime mold watches the chaotic scene. He recognizes the adventurers from earlier and realizes they plan to hunt the terrifying bird. The snake heron's frozen wing heats up, and the ice around it melts rapidly. With a powerful swing, the bird shatters the ice, freeing its wing. Facing the creature, Rake Carter orders Colfern to prepare a powerful ice spell to finish the fight, promising to buy him time. Colfern grins confidently, his staff glowing with magic. He accepts, guaranteeing he will kill the monster in one move. The snake heron strikes, its massive claw descending with incredible speed. Rake Carter steps forward and blocks the attack with his shield to protect the mage. The warrior struggles under the bird's immense weight, trembling as he holds his ground. Sweating, Rake Carter realizes this opponent is stronger than expected. He deduces it evolved after other monsters vanished from the forest. He activates a skill called Shield Counter, swinging his shield upward with explosive force to repel the creature. The blow knocks the snake heron backward, creating space between it and the party. However, the impact is too great for his shield. It shatters, leaving Rake Carter defenseless. The red snake head on its tail lunges at Rake Carter with open jaws. Seeing the danger, Nia Ross commands her armored boar, Little Steelback, to charge and tackle the monster. Rake Carter barely evades the snapping jaws, sweating as he realizes his close call. The adventurers' combined pressure forces the snake heron to stumble backward, but the monster isn't finished. Smoke billows from its beak as its throat glows, signaling a magical buildup. The bird unleashes the absorbed energy, breathing a massive torrent of flames. The flames form a pseudo-dragon breath. Colfern recognizes the high-tier magic and shouts a warning that they are in trouble. Colfern reacts instantly, slamming his staff into the magic circle and shouting that they must defend themselves. A massive ice wall, the glacial barrier, rises from the ground. Nia, Rake, and Cole crouch behind it, hoping it holds. The pseudo-dragon breath hits the glacial barrier, and the clash of fire and ice splits the battlefield. The shockwave shatters the forest. Hiding behind a rock, the slime mold trembles, knowing he would be cannon fodder in this high-level battle. The glacial barrier struggles against the intense heat, and the ice melts rapidly. Colfern screams, pouring all his energy into the spell, but the power gap is too wide. The ice wall shatters, sending blue crystal shards flying everywhere. The smoke clears, revealing a scorched path. The adventurers are exposed but alive, as the barrier took most of the hit. From behind a rock, the slime mold trembles. He is awed by the power of high-tier magic and laments his own weakness. Furious and exhausted, Colfern curses his wasted chant. He tells the team he can't use high-tier magic again for a while. Rake Carter takes command, yelling for Nia to provide cover fire with her beast while he prepares a counterattack. Nia agrees. Nia's boar, Little Steelback, uses Spiny Back, launching sharp quills at the enemy. The snake heron uses its wings to block the quills, momentarily losing sight of the warrior. Seizing the opportunity, Rake Carter activates Power Release, maximizing his physical strength. He leaps into the night sky, creating shockwaves as he soars above the battlefield. The snake heron lowers its wings and looks up, its eye widening as it sees the human plummeting toward it. Rake Carter descends rapidly, activating Meteor Hammer as his mace glows with energy. He swings the heavy weapon with all his might, aiming for the monster. The devastating impact slams the snake heron into the ground, and the giant bird collapses. The mace crushes the bird's skull, splattering blood and instantly killing the Lord-level monster. Breathing heavily, Rake Carter stands over the beast's corpse and declares the battle settled. Colfern praises Rake, noting the defeated snake secretary bird was as strong as a high-level magic beast. Hidden behind a rock, the slime mold analyzes the fight. Impressed by their teamwork, he decides his best chance for survival is to cling to a human. Rake Carter orders Nia to approach the corpse and read its memories for clues about the missing guildmaster. However, the threat isn't over. As Rake stands near the carcass, the red snake head on its tail lunges and bites his shoulder. At the same time, the bird's main head, which appeared crushed and lifeless, suddenly snaps its eyes open to launch a final ambush. Reacting to the ambush, an ice spike spell pierces the red snake head, killing it instantly. The caster is Colfern. He shouts that the snake has petrifying venom and tells Nia to give the captain a purification potion. Nia frantically uncorks a purification potion, urging Rake to drink it immediately. Rake pours the glowing green liquid into his mouth, hoping to counteract the venom. But the attempt fails. Rake screams in agony as blood leaks from his eyes. His throat is already petrified, making him unable to swallow. The potion bottle shatters as the warrior falls to his knees. His skin turns gray and cracks as the petrification consumes him. Nia trembles, reaching for the statue of her leader and calling his name in despair as her boar watches in confusion. Cole realizes the situation is hopeless and shouts at Nia that they must flee immediately to survive. Nia freezes, her eyes filling with tears as she hesitates to leave the captain's body behind. Cole forces the retreat. They escape at full speed, Cole explaining the monster absorbed Rake's life energy to heal and will soon recover. Behind them, the snake heron watches the survivors disappear into the dark forest. The monster's head, now healed by the stolen life force, stares menacingly and lets out a strange sound, asserting its dominance. Fleeing, Colfern drinks a mana potion to restore his magical energy. He believes that if they reach the church within a week to request a royal priest, they can still resurrect their captain. But the relentless snake heron lands behind them with a huge impact. Cole curses. The monster regenerated faster than expected. The giant bird charges, crushing rocks and trees in its path as it closes in. Terrified, Nia Ross asks the mage what they should do. Cole stops and faces the enemy, telling Nia not to be afraid. He orders her to save her magic, saying he has a plan. Raising his staff, he casts Ice Gatling, launching sharp ice crystals at the monster. The precise attack strikes the snake heron's legs, freezing them and halting its charge. The monster skids to a stop, its legs encased in ice, struggling to break free. However, the creature glows with intense heat, preparing a fire attack to melt the ice. Recognizing the high-tier fire magic, Cole shouts at Nia to just keep running. Nia screams, asking what he's doing. Cole stands his ground, explaining he must stay behind to pin the monster down so she can escape. As flames erupt, Cole smiles at Nia, thanking her for the earlier mana potion. He uses his remaining energy on Glacial Barrier, creating a massive ice wall between them. The wall blocks the monster, but traps Cole with the fire. Safe behind the wall, a tearful Nia realizes he sacrificed himself for her escape. Nia commands her armored boar, Little Steelback, to run, forcing herself to leave her teammate behind. Tearfully, she steels her resolve, knowing she must survive to report on the forest and the guild master's fate to the church. As she flees, her scout owl, Little Miwu, swoops down. Nia is surprised, thinking their magical connection was severed. Hopeful it will guide her out, she calls to the owl, but it dives past her without slowing. The owl ignores her, landing on a branch ahead. Nia's hope turns to confusion as the owl glows with an eerie light. The system identifies it as Sanctified Fall, the same undead state as the frog monster. The owl turns its head 180 degrees. Its eye, glowing with a cross-shaped pupil, stares menacingly at Nia. Nia freezes in terror, realizing her pet has been corrupted by the enemy. Elsewhere, in a sealed dimension, the ground is a graveyard of dismembered monster parts. Exhausted on a giant bone sits an armored knight, 100-style Guildmaster Gon. A system window warns him that his energetic and mana loan buffs have expired. It will now deduct his stamina to repay the magical debt. Breathing heavily, the knight accepts the penalty and coming fatigue. Suddenly, the severed monster parts around the knight begin to move, dragged together by an unseen force. The parts fuse into a grotesque pillar of flesh. A voice from the mass mocks the knight's exhaustion. The entity, King of Swamp Forest, Kedoyalawa, forms, covered in eyes and tentacles. It mocks Gon, saying he has killed it countless times over 2 years, and asking if he's finally out of assets. Kedoyalawa mocks the knight for looking at his system window, guessing the system is the secret to Gon's quick success. The monster reveals they know Gon is a transmigrator from other universes. That's why they lured him into this trap to eliminate him. Kedoyalawa offers an ultimatum: become a corpse puppet or join their dimensional ascension. Gon quietly asks for a moment to think, but it's a ruse. Gon grips his massive sword, declaring his consideration is over. Shouting his answer is to kill them all, Gon swings his blade, slicing the flesh monsters to pieces. The attack is futile. Kedoyalawa laughs, boasting that inside the eternal barrier, it is immortal and cannot be killed. The scattered flesh immediately begins to reform behind the knight. The monster reforms, taunting Gon. It notes the knight is at his limit while it is fresh, demanding he surrender or die. Gon ignores the taunt, opens his inventory, and retrieves an item. He pulls out a golden container and hurls it into the air with all his strength. The container shatters, releasing a glowing liquid identified as true holy water. Kedoyalawa looks at the liquid, confused by the weapon. Suddenly, a blinding holy light erupts from the liquid, engulfing the flesh monsters. The monster screams in agony, cursing Gon and asking where he found true holy water when even angels have fallen. Gon calmly explains it burns the soul, making immortality useless. He regrets using this trump card, as he was saving it for the true mastermind. The holy fire consumes the monster. Kedoyalawa curses one last time as its body dissolves. The holy fire rages as the battle continues. Gon stands in the flames when a system warning flashes, alerting him to a high-energy reaction and that the target is about to regenerate. A massive surge of golden energy erupts, and the monster's flesh reforms instead of dissolving, looming over Gon in the chaotic landscape. Gon realizes true holy water burns the soul. He reasons a dissipated soul cannot be restored, even in a sanctified state, so he's confused how the enemy survived. As the smoke clears, Kedoyalawa is in Sanctified Fall mode, a terrifying floating red sphere with tentacles and a central eye. The monster laughs, mocking Gon and revealing his trump card was ineffective. Gon asks how the monster obtained the power of adaptation so quickly. Kedoyalawa explains it's thanks to Gon, reminding him of the Dragon Emperor's finger he sliced off earlier. The monster explains it wondered how Gon's spear could cut a Dragon Emperor's skin, then realized he coated his weapon in true holy water. When the finger fell, Gon lost it in the forest. Kedoyalawa says the finger fell near weak monsters, triggering an inviolability attribute that allowed it to locate and reclaim the part. By reclaiming the finger, the monster learned the secret of the holy water. Since Gon only used a light coating on his blade, the monster adapted to the holy energy on the severed limb, gaining immunity. Kidoyalawa declares Gon has used all his trump cards and commands him to die. The ground rumbles as Kidoyalawa counterattacks. Massive stone hands burst from the earth, towering over Gon. A giant hand slams down, trying to crush Gon flat. The attack becomes a chaotic barrage as countless stone hands emerge from the ground, smashing down repeatedly on Gon's position. The assault ends with a spell, Abyss Magic Earth Burial, leaving a huge crater beneath the floating monster. Trapped beneath the earth, Gon's spear activates a defensive enchantment. Its tip glows with a green magic circle, triggering 20 layers of elemental runestone effect for earth attribute absorption to negate the pressure. With the earth magic neutralized, Gon bursts from the rubble, flying upward with his glowing weapon to continue the fight. He charges toward the floating red sphere, unleashing his Spear Art's piercing all things technique to reach his enemy. The monster mocks Gon, noting his equipment has a durability limit. It asks how much longer he will struggle before unleashing Necrotic Shriek, raining down thousands of red energy beams. Gon meets the attack head-on, his blue aura clashing violently with the monster's red flood of necrotic magic. The system gives Gon critical warnings. His weapon's durability is nearly gone, his magic resistance is below 20%, and his body is fatigued. Despite the warnings and blood dripping from his mouth, Gon pushes past his limit, preparing the martial art, 1-inch punch, Spiral Force. The system warns that using a high-tier martial art in his condition will cause irreversible physical damage. Ignoring the cost, Gon declares it doesn't matter. He channels his remaining energy into a spiral attack, but the strain is too much for his equipment. The spear's tip shatters. Despite the shattered weapon, the attack's spiral force continues forward, shocking Kidoyalawa. The red energy of the piercing all things technique slams into the monster's center, creating a massive red and black explosion. Without his spear to sustain the attack, Gon loses momentum and crashes to the rocky ground. Blood drips onto the stone as Gon kneels, clutching his ruined arm. He trembles in pain, his left arm completely ruined from the backlash of using high-tier arts while fatigued. The smoke clears and Kidoyalawa reforms, unharmed. The monster mocks Gon, asking why he suffers instead of just dying. The creature taunts Gon, guessing he is still trying to find a way to win in this hopeless situation. Gon is silent, head bowed. He regrets his strategy, realizing it was a fatal mistake to save his skills. He thinks he should have used all the true holy water at the start to kill the enemy instantly. Suddenly, a massive shadow looms over the battlefield. The Dragon Emperor's finger, which Gon fought earlier, descends from the sky like a meteor. As the attack falls, Kidoyalawa reveals Gon can't win because he isn't fighting a mere monster, but the power of the entire Holy Sea. The massive finger plummets toward the injured knight, threatening to crush him. But Gon refuses to accept defeat. With his remaining strength, he opens his system inventory. As the shadow engulfs him, Gon pulls a tattered ancient scroll from the inventory's green light. The scroll unfurls to reveal glowing red runes. It's a forbidden item, the Demon King's favor, and begins pulsing with ominous power. Kidoyalawa stares in horror at the runic scroll. He stammers, realizing the Demon King's favor is a demon contract. He screams at Gon, calling him a hypocrite for preaching justice while having made a deal with a demon long ago. As the ominous power manifests, the monster's arrogance vanishes. In a panic, he cries out to his masters, begging Your Holiness the Pope to save him. No salvation comes. From the void, a colossal spectral hand reaches down. Shimmering with cosmic energy, it dwarfs Kidoyalawa, whose true form is revealed as a small red worm. The tiny creature screams as the hand closes around it. The Oblivion's grasp technique activates. The giant hand clenches into a fist, instantly crushing the worm with unstoppable force. The monster's remains dissolve into sparkling dust, erasing the king of Swamp Forest from existence. From the darkness where the monster perished, a new entity manifests, stepping out with a skeletal cosmic-patterned leg. The summon is complete. A towering skeletal demon in purple robes stands before the exhausted knight. The entity looks down at Gon and greets him, remarking that it has been a long time. The demon laughs, mocking Gon's battered appearance. He calls the knight pathetic, recalling when he previously failed to enter this universe, and sarcastically says he will never forget Gon's past kindness. Pointing a long, bony finger at the knight, the demon proposes a deal. He offers Gon immense power, promising he will be strong enough to wipe out the evil scoundrels of the Holy Sea. He calls Gon Transmigrator, acknowledging his otherworldly origin. Gon's response is immediate and violent. He swings his energy blade, slashing the contract scroll to shreds. As the paper flies, Gon declares his debt is paid, and they are now even. The demon crosses his arms, unimpressed that Gon resisted the temptation. Calling him a heartless guy, the entity prepares to leave but offers one final ominous piece of advice. With a grin, the demon whispers a prophecy. He has already seen Gon's face of death. With chilling laughter, the demon dissolves into a purple whirlwind and vanishes from the dimension. Under the quiet crescent moon, the sealed dimension grows still after the demon's departure. A system window appears before Gon, revealing the battle's heavy toll. His mana is drained to 0 and his health points are critical, as the mana loan continues to drain his life force. The system notes that because the target was erased, no experience points were gained. Gon sits slumped against a dark wall, panting from exhaustion as he stares at the code on his interface. Despite his fatigue, he tries to make one final connection. He asks his system if the Hope coordinate summoning was successful and tries to initiate a dialogue with the other individual. A red error message flashes denying his request. The system states the connection failed because transmigrator systems are not interconnected, leaving Gon isolated. Back in the forest, a yellow notification pops up for the slime mold. He has attempted to eat something, but the system reports decomposition failed because the target is no longer organic. The slime mold clings to the face of Rake Carter. He is shocked to find the warrior has turned into a stone statue. He tries to examine the petrified human. Realizing he cannot eat stone, the slime mold leaps down from the statue's lap. He spots Rake's mace on the ground. Calling the frozen statue Uncle, he asks to take the equipment since the warrior clearly no longer needs it. Taking the silence as permission, the slime shouts a cheerful, "Thanks!" and hops away, leaving the petrified warrior behind. The slime travels rapidly through the forest, leaving a blue light trail. He hatches a plan. If he helps the remaining humans when they are in trouble, he might be able to hitch a ride with them to a human town. He spots a massive structure in the distance through the trees. Landing on the ground, he recognizes the giant ice formation. He realizes it is the ice wall created by Cole Fern and deduces the survivors must be there. However, his motives aren't entirely pure. He snickers, hoping that the ostrich, snake heron, has been killed so he can scavenge some high-level loot from the battlefield. Using his search skill to scan the ice wall, the slime mold decides to observe the situation before acting. However, he is immediately shocked by the brutality he witnesses through his sensory network. He sees the massive snake heron clutching Cole's corpse. The creature opens its mouth and swallows him whole, consuming him to increase its strength. The slime mold watches in terror as the bird's eyes glow with a menacing red light, scanning for its next meal. Realizing the danger, the slime mold flees across the ice. He panics, noting the bird gets stronger with every kill, and fears the remaining girl may have already fallen victim. Nearby, Nia Ross calls out desperately to her scout owl, Little Miwu, who hovers above with corrupted glowing symbols in its eyes. The corrupted owl ignores her plea and initiates a high-speed dive attack toward its former master. Nia realizes with horror that the owl is no longer her companion. She steels herself and orders her boar, Little Steelback, to launch a counterattack. The armored boar obeys, activating Spinyback to shoot sharp quills at the diving bird. However, the owl dives straight through the attack, its eyes locked on Nia. Its beak begins to glow with turquoise energy and grows unnaturally large. The owl activates a skill called Iron Beak Gale, spinning its head rapidly to generate a fierce tornado of wind blades. The powerful wind slices through the forest, cutting trees and sending debris flying everywhere. The attack is devastating, carving deep gouges into the earth and chopping the forest canopy into pieces. Heavy logs rain down from the sky as the trees collapse. Nia Ross curls up on the ground, covering her head to shield herself from the falling timber, as the slime mold rushes toward her from the side. In the collapsing forest, Nia Ross cowers, wondering why her pet turned against her and who could save her. She rushes to her armored boar, Little Steelback, who is pinned under heavy logs. She reassures the beast and prepares to transfer mana for its recovery. High above, the corrupted owl, Little Miwu, shrieks, glowing with dark energy as it prepares another magical attack. The bird dives at high speed toward Nia, its body stretching like a snake and its beak glowing like a spear. Desperately, Nia reaches toward the attacker and uses her mind control skill, hoping to restore their connection. It works instantly. The owl is paralyzed in midair, its eyes wide with shock as the spell takes hold. Nia's consciousness is pulled into a dark, surreal dimension of water and floating broken pillars. Relieved, she finds her pet contract is still active, letting her enter Little Miwu's spiritual world. Looking across the dark water, she spots a radiant figure in the distance. As the figure gets closer, she sees a beautiful woman with massive white wings holding Little Miwu's uncorrupted soul. It's a Lord Angel with a holy aura. Nia stares in confusion, wondering why a powerful angel would hide inside her Scout Owl's spiritual world. The Lord Angel smiles gently, beckoning Nia closer, but the holy facade shatters. Half the angel's face tears away, revealing a red skeletal monster demanding her submission. Terrified, Nia trembles and begs for mercy, realizing she is trapped in a nightmare. Back in the real world, little Steelback struggles helplessly under the logs. The corrupted owl, Little Miwu, ignores the boar and dives swiftly to finish off its former master. Suddenly, a heavy iron mace swings from nowhere, smashing into the owl's face. The impact crushes the bird's skull, sending blood flying and saving Nia at the last moment. The attacker is the slime mold, who begins to spin his body rapidly. He delivers a flurry of devastating blows to the mutated bird. Nia stares in shock, recognizing the weapon as belonging to her petrified captain, Rake Carter. The slime mold shows incredible control, spinning the heavy weapon like a propeller with his giantification control and pulsation skills. He transformed the stolen mace into a deadly meteor hammer by extending his body as a chain. With the force of a cannon, the slime mold brings the weapon down. He aims not at the enemy, but at the logs trapping the boar. The mace shatters the wood, freeing Little Steelback. The slime retracts his stretched limb, reabsorbing the weapon's handle into his body and preparing for the next move. Grateful, Nia Ross kneels and thanks the mysterious creature as her boar, Little Steelback, recovers. She gently picks up the slime mold and tearfully says she feels a strangely familiar sensation from him. The slime mold sparkles, hoping she recognizes him as an ally. But Nia is completely wrong. She hugs him, weeping that he must be her captain, Rake Carter, returned in a monster's body. The squashed slime panics internally, shocked by her mistake. The moment is cut short when Little Steelback snorts, alerting them that the threat isn't gone. The corrupted owl, Little Miwu, rises from the debris. Despite its crushed head, the undead monster gets up, battered but ready to kill. Realizing they must fight, Nia prepares to transfer mana to her boar while the slime mold spreads his body like a web at her feet. He activates his search skill, expanding across the forest floor. His yellow tendrils cover the battlefield, letting him sense the area and lock onto the enemy with Pulsation Max. Having found his target, the slime mold laughs internally and launches a surprise attack from below. With a vicious upward thrust, he drives the heavy mace into the bird's undefended underbelly. The corrupted owl, Little Miwu, trembles in agony from the critical hit, but the pain only fuels its rage. Screaming, the undead creature recovers in midair and dives to kill the slime. Nia's armored boar, Little Steelback, charges in, violently tackling the bird in mid-dive. The impact sends the owl spinning. Seeing the enemy off balance, the slime mold sees his chance to end the fight. He swings the mace back, then spins his entire body rapidly, chanting his name to build power. Unleashing his ultimate attack, the plasmatic cannon, the slime's mace flies forward, piercing the owl's body in a bloody explosion that destroys the monster. The throw is so powerful the weapon flies on, slamming deep into a massive tree trunk. The battle is over. The owl lies dead, but the slime mold is in an awkward spot. His arm is stretched meters across the clearing to the tree, unable to pull the weapon free. Nia Ross stands solemnly over Little Miwu's remains, mourning her companion as the slime mold retrieves his weapon. She turns to the small creature, piecing together the truth. She realizes it's not her captain, but the monster she saw earlier near the campfire. Crouching, Nia smiles gently at the slime. She deduces that since he has been following her, he must like her, meaning they're highly compatible as partners. The slime mold trembles with excitement, his eye widening as he realizes his plan to find a human sponsor is working. A golden magic circle lights up the ground. Holding the slime gently, Nia formally asks if he will sign a pet pact with her. She smiles warmly, promising to nurture him well if he accepts. But as the slime prepares to accept, a warning flashes in his vision. The system informs him that signing a servant contract with a human means losing access to the system forever. The slime freezes, realizing he faces an impossible choice: gain a master in safety, or keep the mysterious system that grants his power. The slime mold faces a dilemma. He weighs the value of his system against the allure of living a classic, hot-blooded shonen adventure with a beautiful woman. His imagination runs wild with romantic fantasies. He pictures training with Nia on a beach at sunset, then evolving into a muscular warrior to face challenges in the arena. His delusion continues as he sees Nia becoming a famous pet master from their partnership, and himself evolving into a handsome, human-like entity. He imagines them fighting together to defeat the great demon king, ending with a romantic marriage proposal. And a happy-ending wedding in a grand plaza. Sold on this fantasy, the blushing slime decides system stories are cliché anyway. He commits to the girl, having already planned their entire future in his head. As he prepares to announce his decision, a dark shadow interrupts the moment. Before he can act, an invisible wind blade slices off Nia's head. The slime stares in terror as his romantic daydream is shattered by a lethal reality. Beside him, the armored boar Little Steelback snorts furiously, having detected the attacker. The clearing is engulfed by a spell. Abyss Magic, Circle of Wind's Demise. The horrifying source is the headless corpse of Little Miwu, which stands up again. Despite its destroyed head, the undead monster functions, channeling dark energy through its claws to fight on. To the survivor's horror, the owl's headless neck bubbles and twists. Flesh rapidly knits into a grotesque, skinless red face with human teeth and a single eye, regenerating where its head was. Enraged by the attack on his master, Little Steelback ignores the danger and charges forward, its eyes glowing red. Realizing the enemy is immortal and dangerous, the slime shouts a warning to the boar, but it is too late. The boar leaps to crush the enemy, but the creature points a claw at the boar and swirls magical energy, casting a spell. The spell, Abyss Magic Atavistic Ray, hits the boar mid-air. The magic instantly rewrites the boar's biology. The powerful creature shrinks, transforming into a harmless, ancient aquatic amphibian. The transformed creature flops helplessly on the grass and scuttles away in terror, leaving the slime staring in stunned silence. The slime sweats, realizing high-level devolution magic is beyond a mere owl monster. He deduces the opponent is someone, or something, far more powerful. The monster turns its back as its skinless face morphs into a human head with long hair. The entity complains that Kadoya Lawa was useless and wasted resources failing to kill the target. The entity reveals himself as Merlin, guild master of the Blue Hat Guild and one of the church's 7 holy knights. Possessing the owl's body, he grumbles that an old man from the Holy See ignored his advice, forcing him to clean up the mess. Merlin looks to the moon and notices the imprisonment barrier trapping Guildmaster Gon has disappeared. With a sinister smile, Merlin declares he will not let Gon escape. He activates Abyss Magic Tempest Wing, and glowing wings of light erupt from his back. He launches into the sky in a burst of speed, ascending in a pillar of light to chase the knight, ignoring the slime. Nia's corpse collapses on the ground. The slime mold sits nearby, panting and trembling. Watching the light disappear, the slime realizes the terrifying truth. The enemy wasn't a monster, but a human using high-tier magic to possess a corpse. The slime feels deep shame. He realizes the mage ignored him because he was too weak to be a threat. He feels conflicted, wondering if he should be glad he survived, since he hadn't signed the contract with Nia yet. He quickly rejects that cowardly thought. Furious at himself for considering running away, he decides he cannot let this slide. With tears in his eyes, he internally screams for revenge. Swearing that he will at least smash the enemy in the face, the slime mold launches into the trees. He moves with incredible speed, leaping between branches to chase the flying mage. Elsewhere in the forest, a system window appears for the exhausted Guildmaster Gon. It confirms his mana loan is repaid, but his health is critical. He has 0 mana, and his left arm is severely damaged. Gon clutches his broken arm, telling his system to stop stating the obvious. He demands it help him contact the transmigrator summoned by the Hope Coordinate spell. The system explains long-distance communication is impossible without a physical connection. However, it confirms it can sense a signal on the same frequency and that Gon is moving toward the target. Gon knows the Holy See will send more powerful knights to clean up. He resolves to find the new transmigrator and escape the area before enemy reinforcements arrive. As the slime chases the mage through the forest, he leaves a trail that Gon happens upon. Hiding in the bushes, the slime uses his search skill and spots a tall silhouette. He mistakes Gon for the long-necked enemy he was chasing. Eager for revenge, the slime swings down from the trees, readying his heavy mace for a surprise attack from above. He smashes the weapon into Gon's head with a powerful blow. Upon impact, the slime is confused. He realizes he hit hard metal armor, not flesh, and the shape doesn't match the bird monster at all. Gon collapses from the blow. The slime stares at the fallen knight, realizing the long neck he saw was just decorative tassels on a helmet. Panicked, the slime apologizes profusely, blaming the dim light for the mix-up and asking why the stranger wears such a confusing helmet. Suddenly, Gon's gauntlet shoots up, grabbing the slime in a crushing grip. Gon glares as he recognizes his subordinate's mace and smells Naya's blood on the slime. He concludes the slime murdered his guild members and accuses him of being a dog of the church, threatening to destroy him. But before Gon can crush him, system windows appear between them, announcing a successful connection. Gon freezes, staring at the screens. In disbelief, he asks if the creature has a system interface, realizing he is looking at a transmigrator. The slime is equally shocked to realize the knight also has a system and that he isn't the only person from another world here. Gon explains that to fight the evil church, he activated a noble phantasm called Hope Coordinate to summon the protagonist here. Realizing his arrival was planned, the slime sighs. He laments being too weak to save Nia despite meeting the guild and asks how he can help. Gon reassures him, explaining that he also started with nothing after transmigrating and relied on the system. He comforts the slime about the world's harshness. Suddenly, Gon removes his helmet, revealing he isn't human, which is why he hides his face inside the armor. Confused, the slime asks what species he is. With his face in shadow, Gon reveals he belongs to the most hated race, a goblin. Imagining a stereotypical ugly green monster, the slime says he would rather stay a cute slime than look like that. However, Gon reveals a shockingly handsome elf-like face. He admits his appearance causes trouble, but not for the reasons the slime thought. Shocked, the slime protests that it is unfair for a goblin to look so cool. Gon dismisses the jealousy, noting that humans would hunt him, whereas the slime's small body is good for sneaking. The slime continues complaining about their looks. Gon stands up, clutching his injured arm. He mentions founding the guild to unite races, but stops, warning that the church has sent a ruthless knight named Merlin. When the slime asks what to do, Gon extends his hand. A system interface appears as he prepares to transfer all his magic and combat skills to the slime. The system confirms the connection. Amazed, the slime asks if this process will instantly give him godlike power. As the transfer progresses, Gon explains he walked into a trap set by the Pope. With his resources exhausted, he needs the slime to fight. The slime asks if Gon just hates the church for a cliché reason. Gon clarifies that the church already rules. Their true goal is to sacrifice all life in this world as energy for rent-seekers to ascend to a higher universe. Horrified by the scale of the villainy, the slime stutters, asking how they plan to sacrifice everyone. Gon recounts his past, explaining that he started as a goblin cub, the lowest creature in the hierarchy. He describes a brutal childhood in a mine, eating scraps and human limbs to survive. At age 5, his system awakened, allowing him to kill the evil goblins. In a flashback, a blood-covered young Gon questions his identity, but affirms that his soul has always been human. He explains that he rescued imprisoned female heroes. To help them recover from trauma, he used a special skill called dual cultivation. The slime sympathizes, agreeing that despite his monster body, his soul remains human. Suddenly realizing what the skill implies, the slime nervously asks if dual cultivation means sex, comparing it to his own useless decomposition skill. Gon confirms it, admitting he envies the slime because his skill is exhausting. Sleeping with adventurers of different classes levels up specific attributes. Gon recalls being surrounded by women. He explains that warriors increase his health and mages increase his magic, generating huge experience. He used this to build power and start families. Hoping to give them a better life, he moved them all to the royal capital. Hearing this harem story, the slime turns furious with jealousy, accusing Gon of showing off his romantic life. The mood shifts instantly. Gon sheds a tear, revealing that going to the capital was a mistake that cost him his wives and child. A terrifying aura interrupts the transfer at 12%. Merlin, possessing a monstrous bird body, arrives and announces he has found Gon. Gon's eye widens as he senses the immediate danger. Reacting instantly, Gon pushes the slime to safety and dodges invisible slash attacks cutting through the air. Merlin casts Abyss Magic, Circle of Wind's Demise, creating a massive tornado that shreds the surrounding forest. The spell flattens the woods, and Merlin lands in the center of the crater. Merlin mocks Gon, revealing he knows he is a goblin. He wants to capture him for dissection, ignoring the Pope's order to kill him. He asks the knight how he managed to kill Kadoyalawa, a monster with an undying body. Gon emerges from the debris. His system warns that his armor is broken and suggests retreating, but Gon tells it to shut up. Realizing Gon is talking to an invisible system, Merlin smiles and asks if he can inherit it after stealing Gon's body. Bleeding, Gon realizes Merlin is a devil. He deduces the previous monster's undying body was a result of Merlin's cruel experiments. Merlin scoffs, claiming human lives are worthless. Suddenly, 3 slime-covered rocks fly toward him. Merlin catches the projectiles effortlessly without even looking. He holds the rocks while the slime trembles in the background, shocked that his sneak attack failed. Merlin looks at the slime with pity. He uses gaze, instantly paralyzing the slime with terror as if he is being analyzed. Suddenly, Merlin notices a disturbance. Realizing he fell for a feint, Merlin sees Gon's silhouette retreating and sighs, wondering where he thinks he can run. However, Gon dives from above, initiating a counterattack with Physical Art's weak point break. Merlin reacts by casting Geometric Inferno, trapping Gon in a massive fiery cube to incinerate him. Watching the blaze, the slime sheds tears, fearing this is the end for his ally. Merlin smiles confidently, acknowledging the danger but refusing to let Gon survive. Gon punches the fire, revealing his skill works even against magic, shattering the spell. Merlin stares in shock as Gon's hand reaches through the flames to seize him. Gon firmly grabs the mage, shouting that he has finally caught him. Engulfed in flames, Gon declares that even if he dies, he will drag Merlin down to the grave with him. The system reveals that Guildmaster Gon is near death with only 1 HP left, kept alive by a last stand effect. Ignoring his instincts, Gon activates a sacrificial skill called the Final Accord. Realizing this, a terrified Merlin screams at Gon to let him go, asking if he knows the terrible price of that magic. The system explains the cost. The skill cancels Last Stand, drops HP to 0, and erases his body and soul. Gon shouts that it doesn't matter and activates the Final Accord, creating a huge green rune circle beneath them. The spell takes effect, draining Merlin's life force. The mage's face twists in agony as his energy is ripped away. As Gon's body dissolves into light, he messages the slime. He apologizes, explaining that mutual destruction is the only way to stop Merlin. He entrusts saving the world to the slime and warns him never to trust the church. Overwhelmed, the slime mold bursts into tears. He asks how a weak lump of slime mold can save the world if powerful Gon couldn't win. In his final moments, Gon tells the slime to believe in himself, thinking his purpose was simply to help summon the protagonist. The green swirl of the Final Accord fades, leaving an empty space where the knight stood. As the magic vanishes, only the broken, empty armor of Guildmaster Gon remains on the cracked earth. His smoking equipment lies scattered on the ground, the only proof that the goblin hero existed. Grieving, the slime mold weeps over the remains, calling out to his brother Gon. Suddenly, blue light shoots down from the sky. It is Merlin, inside the bird monster's body. He curses, declaring the mission a loss because of Gon's sacrifice. Merlin envisions the life candles needed for his ascension. He sees the flames dying out, snuffed by Gon's suicide attack. Merlin explains the candles connecting him to the universe were destroyed. He laments being trapped in a monster's body instead of ascending to a higher plane. Enraged, the slime mold shoots out a tentacle and violently slaps Merlin across the face. Trembling with fury and hurting himself, the slime declares Gon's sacrifice wasn't nonsense. He vows to carry Gon's will and avenge both the knight and Nia. He spits out a small clone to ensure he survives if his main body is destroyed. Wiping the slime from his face, Merlin looks annoyed. He wonders if this pest is just a contract monster left by Gon. Frustrated, Merlin points at the slime. He declares the creature will bear his wrath in place of Gon. Merlin casts Abyss Magic, Atavistic Ray, firing rainbow energy at the slime. This is the same spell that transformed the armored boar earlier. The spell hits the slime directly. However, instead of changing, the slime just sits there, confused and unchanged. Shocked, Merlin doesn't understand why it failed. He wonders if the damage from Gon's attack weakened his magic. Merlin screams, refusing to believe a weak monster withstood his magic. Meanwhile, the slime spreads his body on the ground. Using Search, the slime analyzes the situation. He believes Merlin is weakened and plans a surprise attack using a secret trump card Merlin doesn't know. However, before the slime can act, the massive snake heron intercepts Merlin midair with a vicious kick. The impact is devastating. Merlin flies back and crashes into a rocky cliff, blood spraying from the hit. Pinned by the bird, a furious Merlin curses his luck. He shouts that once he recovers, he will burn the swamp forest to ash. His threats stop as he senses huge energy above him. He panics. Above, the snake heron's throat glows bright as it prepares a breath attack. The monster unleashes high-tier magic pseudo-dragon breath, blasting a stream of fire at the mage. The fire engulfs Merlin completely, incinerating the area with great force. The snake heron continues to pour fire, scorching the mage in a blinding inferno. As the flames fade, the ground is charred. The snake heron looks down, confused, while the slime watches safely from a distance. The snake heron leans down and eats Merlin's charred remains in a single gulp. The lump travels down the bird's throat as it swallows the mage whole. The effect of eating such strong magic is immediate. The snake head on its tail begins to glow pink. The energy spreads, covering the monster in a white light that illuminates the forest. Watching, the slime sweats nervously. He realizes the monster isn't just recovering, but evolving. The light bursts, revealing a new form. The creature has evolved into a feathered serpent dragon with a long body and scales. The powerful beast spreads its magnificent glowing wings, casting a shadow over the ground. Without looking at the slime, the feathered serpent dragon flies into the sky, creating a strong wind. Left alone, the slime sits frozen in terror, overwhelmed by the power he just saw.
Guys, that's the end of the video. If you like this video, please leave a comment in the comment section. Also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. Like the video and share it too. Thank you for watching and see you next time again.